mounting bipartisan pressure to release documents related to the Jeffrey Epstein case.
The Wall Street Journal just published an explosive story.
The president's reversal has amped up scrutiny of his own relationship with Epstein.
I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff.
Epstein didn't do this all.
The only criticism I have of Jaubrey is that he just puts these beats. He puts these goddamn beats on videos where he's covering some of the most like heinous pedophilia crimes and shit. And I'm just like bobbing my head along as we're looking at Jeffrey fucking Epstein. You know what I mean? It shouldn't go this hard. It shouldn't go this hard. Have some composure, okay? Have some decency, please. I can't be in here going, oh, hell yeah. That's that Jeffrey Epstein music, you know? It's messed up.
By himself. There were a lot of other people that helped him.
We need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
Okay. Worst cover-up in American history, you say? Okay.
Remember when we learned that our wealthiest and most powerful people were connected to a guy who ran a literal child sex trafficking ring, and then that guy died mysteriously in jail, and now we just don't talk about it? Those were the words of JD Vance on September 4th, 2021, when the then candidate for U.S. Senate posted an article from opinion writer Matthew Walther examining the avalanche of conspiracy theories that had festered as a result of the U.S. government fumbling the case of the most notorious sex criminal of the 21st century. The 2019 article, written shortly after Jeffrey Epstein's most recent arrest at a New Jersey airport, made note of the disgraced financier's peculiar talent of dodging accountability and listed the high-profile clientele that had been known to associate with the convicted sex offender at one point or another. These names spanned across both sides of the political aisle and included power brokers from all over the world: Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew, Leslie Wexner, Harvey Weinstein, and of course, the sitting president of the United States. Despite Vance tweeting it out almost 4 years ago, there are parts of this article that make it sound like it could have been written today. In reference to 2,000 documents that were set to be unsealed back then, Walther had hoped that, quote, when we finally see them, we will likely be able to answer questions about the identities of the numerous prominent American politicians, powerful business executives, foreign presidents, a well-known prime minister, and other world leaders who have also been accused of sexual assault by Epstein's alleged victims. Walther even had the gall to ask back then, quote, was Trump speaking from personal experience when he said in 2002 that Epstein likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side? These words were so compelling to JD Vance in 2021 that he endorsed them on his main Twitter account while running for Congress.
Now I brought you all here for a big announcement. And I guess it's time that I actually get on to making the announcement part. What is it? Oh, thank you, sir. That's fine.
Tweeting that December, what possible interest would the U.S. government have in keeping Epstein's client secret? Oh, continuing, if you're a journalist and you're not asking questions about this case, you should be ashamed of yourself. What purpose do you even serve? Maybe try to do your job once in a while. Powerful words. Words that stand in complete contrast to the official line put out by the very administration JD Vance now serves.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats and some stupid...
Nobody cares about this. You're still talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Nobody cares about this guy. He's been talked about so much for years and years.
Good Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net.
The president may very well want us to write off Epstein's multi-million-dollar international child sex trafficking ring as just another hoax, a pathetic distraction drafted up by his political enemies that only weaklings would be dumb enough to fall for. Only problem is that for the past several years, the American people have considered this story anything but, and that includes Trump's own base of support, from MAGA foot soldiers all the way up to ranking members of his own cabinet.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list, they're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
Wait, I'm sorry. Is he wearing his own merch?
Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are. We have an election coming up. I'm tired of the Republican majority saying they're going to get the job done and failing.
It's true that those in the Trump camp were once beyond eager to conjure up the ghost of Jeffrey Epstein when it meant securing some easy wins on the campaign trail.
I want to just be very clear. Republicans could get Epstein's list out now? Like, how would that process work?
Simple. One subpoena to the FBI. Give me the list. Oh, you don't want to give me the list and you're going to break the law and commit contempt of Congress? We're going to take your money.
Having seized the reins of power, however, they appear to have reached an entirely different conclusion. One that I imagine included the phrase, this guy's actually in the files.
Tonight, a new report that President Trump is named in the Epstein files.
And just like that, the official White House position has gone from release the Epstein list to the Epstein list is sitting on Pam Bondi's desk to there is no list to it was created by Barack Obama to it's boring, who cares, can we just stop talking about it please? It's true that FBI Director Kash Patel, a former podcaster, his deputy Dan Bongino, also a former podcaster, and Attorney General...
Excuse me, put some respect on it. Clearly a more important position for both of these guys than being the deputy director of the FBI. Who cares about the FBI, dude?
General Pam Bondi, not a podcaster, but former criminal defense attorney to, let me check here. Oh yeah, the president once appeared firmly committed to releasing the Epstein files in the name of bringing justice to the victims and making sure the perpetrators who facilitated and participated in Epstein's operation were held accountable.
Nobody knows how much material people have on Jeffrey Epstein. The guy killed himself, and now nobody's gonna know.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book.
FBI. Oh, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI. And to me, that's a thing I think President Trump should run on. On day one, roll out the Black Book.
But now it seems their lives would be easier if we just stopped asking questions and moved on from what should be the story of the century. And that's precisely why we shouldn't.
Why are they protecting the pedophile? Really, the answer to that question is the real answer to everything. Why are they protecting the pedophiles? Find the answer to that one. I think you'll, well, you won't like the result, but at least it'll be true.
Today, I intend to lay out what we know here as sufficiently and as accurately as humanly possible. Though I do have to warn you, the Epstein lore is long and complex, and in the words of the president himself, sordid. But contrary to what he may want you to think, it certainly isn't boring.
The question of what exactly is in the Epstein files and why Donald Trump won't release them isn't going away, no matter how desperately he tries to change the subject.
The questions are getting greater and greater and more pointed.
There's some real panic in the White House right now. A lot of people have gone quiet, a lot of people have gone dark, but they recognize this is a problem. It's a first time they've had a problem like this, and they don't think it's going to go away anytime soon.
But before we get any deeper into this story, I want to take a brief moment here to thank today's sponsor, the people over at NoCD. A couple videos ago, I opened up a little bit about my own personal experience of having OCD. It's something I've dealt with for about as long as I can remember, and it's usually not something I talk about often, partly because it can be difficult to explain, but also because there was a time where my compulsive thoughts were so frequent and such a massive part of my day-to-day existence that it was almost not even worth bringing up. It's like it was just another mundane part of my life. Anyone with OCD knows what it's like to constantly battle compulsions brought on by obsessive, anxious thoughts, and how these compulsions can often dominate your life if you continuously give in to them. I know how smothering it can get because I've been there. OCD is a far more debilitating, frustrating disorder than a lot of people understand, which is why I get why you may not want to reach out and get help if you are struggling with it. For the longest time, I didn't think anyone could possibly understand what it was I was going through. But then I found NoCD. NoCD is the largest OCD treatment provider in the world, with every single one of their therapists being specialized in treating OCD specifically, which makes a huge difference because, as anyone with the disorder knows, OCD isn't treated by traditional talk therapy. OCD requires a very specific type of therapy called ERP, which stands for exposure.
That's crazy. Response
prevention. Rather than give in to your compulsions, ERP therapy teaches you to sit with your feelings of discomfort, exposing you to the very situation.
I don't know what ERP is. But it seems like a lot of chatters thought it was something different. Why are we listening to an ad? Because we're doing Ethical Reacts. The Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the people, for you, the people. But let's be real. If I'm going to watch a friend of the show's video and he has an ad in it, I'm going to watch the ad.
That fuel,
especially if the video is recent.
Your obsessive thoughts. Over time, it allows you to demonstrate to yourself that you are in fact capable of making it through the day without OCD needing to take over. You'll start to notice your compulsions shrinking and shrinking, with your therapist being there to assist you the whole time. After going through ERP with an OCD therapist myself, I can personally attest to feeling so much lighter now that my compulsions are not dominating my every action the way that they have in the past. Thanks to OCD, my mind is clearer, my anxious thoughts have calmed down, and I feel more confident to take on whatever it was causing those negative thoughts in the first place. Believe me, recovery is possible, and you can get started today with a free consultation by visiting nocd.com. Link in the description below. That's nocd.com. They accept major insurance providers in all 50 states and are, in my opinion, the absolute perfect place to start your recovery journey. Thanks so much again
for being a gooner. Okay, calm down, man. No shot. You skip every Taft's ad. Ha ha ha. Fair.
OCD for sponsoring this video.
This is a 1 hour video with one ad. Adam puts like 8 ads in his videos.
In the early weeks of 2003, dozens of the world's most prominent men and women took time out of their busy schedules to write a warm birthday note for a good friend, a friend that would go on to haunt them for decades to come. Jeffrey Epstein was turning 50, and to celebrate such an impressive milestone,
yeah, and all of the ads are for Blue Chew and sports betting.
His then girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, turned to their inner circle of elite confidants for some sweet birthday letters she'd compile in a multi-page leather-bound book produced by New York City bookbinder Herbert Whites, a man whose website claimed Epstein as a client at the time. Near the front of the book, Ghislaine stated her intentions were to simply gather stories and old photographs to jog your memory about places, people, and different events. Some of the letters will definitely achieve their intended goal, she wrote. Some, well, you'll have to read them and see for yourself. I know you'll enjoy looking through the book, and I hope you'll derive as much pleasure looking through it as I did putting it together for you. What follows, according to those who...
It's crazy that lady now refers to Jeffrey Epstein and is not like my beautiful Jeffrey or other, other names that she used in the past, but simply as Mr. Epstein in order to try and distance herself from him. How crazy.
Have seen it is a collection of salacious and bizarre words strewn together by wealthy CEOs, esteemed scientists, high-profile attorneys, and 2 American presidents. One former, one future. Billionaire retail mogul and Victoria's Secret owner Les Wexner scrawled, "I wanted to get you what you want, so here it is," next to a crudely drawn image of a woman's breasts. Meanwhile, private equity investor Leon Black composed a poem. Blonde, red, brunette, spread out geographically. With this net of fish, Jeff's now the old man and the sea. Signed, Love and Kisses, Leon. Alan Dershowitz, a litigious pierogi connoisseur and a celebrity lawyer whose client list famously features only really good guys, included a fake mock-up of a Vanity Unfair cover comparing his 50-year-old buddy to Jack the Ripper. Okay. Meanwhile, current UK ambassador to the United States, Peter Mandelson, provided photos of a tropical island while referring to Epstein as his best pal. Fashion designer Vera Wayne joked about Jeffrey Epstein going on The Bachelor, and one billionaire Microsoft executive by the name of Nathan Myhrvold simply wrote, "They seemed more appropriate than anything I could put into words." They being real photos of monkeys screaming, lions and zebras mating, and one image of a zebra showing its penis. Normal.
Like, how do you... Bro, when you look at stuff like this, you realize that the connective tissue here is just like weird sex. Like, sometimes I like to second guess and maybe even like check myself and assume or think like, am I biased here? Right? Is it my own personal biases that's guiding me into believing that there is this weird sexual connection with all these people. But when I see stuff like this, I'm like, well, clearly there is some kind of sexual connection. They're all making sex jokes. Like, when my friends write like a card for me for my birthday, they don't talk about animals. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, that's not a thing that tracks.
Stuff everyone sends to their friends on their birthday.
Breaking moments ago, new reporting from the Wall Street Journal sheds more light on that book Ghislaine Maxwell compiled for Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday in 2003.
Among this sea of depravity was a short, cryptic passage handwritten by our country's 42nd Commander-in-Chief. It's reassuring, isn't it, wrote Bill Clinton, to have lasted as long across all the years of learning and knowing, adventures and intelligible, and also to have your childlike curiosity, the drive to make a difference, and the solace of friends. That makes a lot of sense. You know, you'd never really want to get caught writing the world's most prolific pedophile a note of any kind, but you especially wouldn't want it to contain the phrase childlike curiosity. I mean, could you possibly come up with a worse series of words to write Jeffrey Epstein?
I'm Elizabeth Cook, and we have some breaking news that we're following. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that President Donald Trump sent the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein a body letter for his birthday in 2003.
For over a decade, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were close. So close, in fact, that the real estate mogul wrote fondly of the wonderful secret the two men apparently shared together in what's almost four.
If I had a nickel for every U.S. president that wrote a birthday card to Jeffrey Epstein, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird it happened twice. Yeah. But if you were to get a nickel for every world leader that has written to Jeffrey Epstein, you'd have a lot more than 20 cents. Well, nickel's 5, so it's 10 cents. Well, it remains true though. You'd have like probably $100.
Added like a bizarre tweet a whole decade before Twitter even became a thing. Trump sketched the following words within the outline of a hand-drawn naked woman. Voiceover: there must be more to life than having everything. Donald: yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. Jeffrey: nor will I, since I also know what it is. Donald: we have certain things in common, Jeffrey.
That was not on my bingo card ass comment. He's standing right behind me, isn't he?
Jeffrey: yes, we do, come to think of it. Donald: enigmas never age. Have you noticed that?
This
Jeffrey:
so
as a matter of
crazy.
fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. Donald: a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. His signature, marked at the bottom of the page, is said to appear underneath the woman's waist, as if to resemble pubic hair. This is all according to those at the Wall Street Journal who purport to have seen it, as it's important to note that at the time of me writing this script, the illustration has yet to be shown to the public, though I hope to God that changes soon, and it just might, frankly, now that Trump has followed through on his threats to sue the out of the Wall Street Journal, its parent company News Corp, and its billionaire owner Rupert Murdoch, a man who very much helped construct the modern iteration of the Republican Party. The fact that such a powerful media magnate who also happens to own Fox News did not interfere with the publishing of this story, even after the Trump administration's desperate pleas for him to kill it, speaks volumes in itself. In response to Trump's legal action, the Wall Street Journal has only doubled down on the veracity of the reporting, and they appear to welcome whatever discovery such a case should warrant. Which means Trump is playing a very dangerous game here. Unlike Wexner, Clinton, and Dershowitz, Donald Trump is the only figure to flat out deny the existence of the birthday letter he supposedly wrote, which has only raised eyebrows. My "I didn't send Jeffrey Epstein a body drawing of a naked woman with a cryptic poem alluding to our wonderful secrets" shirt has a lot of people asking questions already answered by my shirt. The Journal approached Trump for comment a few days before running.
The 100,000 emails to and from Epstein and the Israel guy didn't even warrant a story. Yeah. Just like the fact that pedophile who happens to be a part of Benjamin Netanyahu's like cybersecurity team that openly told law enforcement after he got caught in an anti-pedo sting that he was going to fly to Israel instantly actually ended up doing that, and there's very few news stories about that as well. NPR called it anti-Semitic? Wait, what? I did not see that. What the
And really, it's hard to miss the clear vitriol in his answers. This is not me. This is a fake thing. It's a Wall Street Journal story. I never wrote a picture in my life. Seething so hard he couldn't even speak straight. I don't draw pictures of women. It's not my language. It's not my words. Needless to say, the publishing of this story sparked pretty intense debate online. The president's allies and surrogates jumped at the chance to remind everyone that Donald Trump is a soft boy, a chivalrous man who would never depict women in such a demeaning way.
I just started kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
They called it anti-Semitic conspiracy. There was ties between Epstein and Israel. Shut the up. NPR wrote about Ehud Barak emailing Jeffrey Epstein 1,000,000 times, and then they only wrote about it to disparage the rumors as anti-Semitic. That is insane. On Up First, oh my God, bro.
Grab him by the...
His two fail sons, Don Jr. and JD Vance, were quick to doubt the bullshit letter's validity based on the simple notion that the man they know and love would never possess enough whimsy in his heart as to doodle a picture, except for all the times he's done exactly that, right down to the same thick black Sharpie and his distinct signature the Journal had reported on. So there goes that defense, I guess. Since releasing the full Epstein files to clear his name is evidently off the table, what else can we say instead to shut the masses up?
Somebody could have written a letter and used my name, but that's happened a lot. All you have to do is take a look at the dossier, the fake dossier.
Okay, so it might be real, but someone else wrote it. All right. So does that mean the rest of the letters are fake? Because which ones would those be? Why haven't any of the other alleged contributors come out and said that? Now, if you couldn't already tell, I am not someone without biases. I have my political leanings just like everyone else. But even as a left-winger, I'm not going to sit here and glaze Bill f***ing Clinton, a man who I think should be in jail. You think I like anyone with the last name Clinton? I couldn't care less if he went down with the ship. In fact, he should be held accountable not only for being Epstein's friend for multiple years, flying around the world on the Lolita Express, and inviting the man to the White House multiple times, according to visitor logs. He and his wife should absolutely be made to answer for why they let Ghislaine Maxwell into their daughter's wedding and allowed her to accompany
prominently featured in the wedding. Look,
made to answer for why they let
literally front row seat. That's crazy.
Ghislaine Maxwell into their daughter's wedding and allowed her to accompany Chelsea on a yacht trip even after Epstein was already a convicted child sex criminal. Release everything you...
Ehud Barak is blood libel. Believing he exists is blood libel. Reporting on him is blood libel. Knowing what his face looks like because you've seen his picture, specifically outside of a Manhattan mansion owned by Jeffrey Epstein that was given to him by Les Wagner for free, also blood libel. You should never think about Ehud Barak. He did not exist. He was certainly not the former prime minister of Israel.
Have on those freaks. The public needs to know the full extent of what our leaders have done behind closed doors. But such accountability must go both ways.
You guessed
and for some unknown reason, Donald Trump has only ever wanted it to go one way.
Bill Clinton.
Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of problems.
The Epstein story has been everywhere these past couple months, but make no mistake, none of this is new. In fact, newspapers show that Jeffrey Epstein was considered a political liability all the way back in July 2008. In an ancient article published in the Santa Fe New Mexican, reporter Steve Terrell cited Epstein's ties to Clinton, along with his donations to a handful of New Mexico politicians, ranging from Governor Bill Richardson's 2002 campaign to Gary King's 2006 bid for Attorney General. Land Commissioner Jim Baca and Santa Fe County Sheriff Greg Solano were also reported to have taken cash from Epstein, but returned or donated the funds to charity after his 2006 arrest in Palm Beach, Florida. Allegations of Epstein's abuse span decades, and we know that some of his victims had tried speaking out long before his eventual arrest. But because both the mainstream media and the FBI repeatedly ignored calls in the 90s and early 2000s to investigate and expose his predation for reasons that remain remain unclear, Epstein wasn't officially convicted of anything until 2008, when he entered into a sweetheart plea agreement with Florida state prosecutors. Despite requiring he register as a sex offender, the highly lenient nature of such a deal has been heavily scrutinized in the years since, as Epstein only pled guilty to the lightest possible charges. Despite multiple victims willing to testify against their abuser, prosecutors did everything they could to avoid
talking about the improper handling by state and local authorities in the first Jeffrey Epstein criminal sex trafficking of minor case. You might have guessed it. Also blood libel. Wait, someone just said, what is this? This guy just got banned. Wait, hold on. What the someone just said I streamed the address of Dylan Burns just said you streamed his Addy. Is that true? Why the would that be true? Do you think I know who the Dylan Burns is or what he does, let alone find his address and then stream it? What are these people saying, bro? Dylan Distance, that's my address, buddy. Are we just... You still haven't denied it? What the... Are people just like now... They've decided to just like make new and unique and creative things up? Is that what's going on?
Void going to trial, even if it meant calling the victims prostitutes and therefore undermining the very girls they were supposed to be protecting. What resulted was Epstein spending just 13 months in jail on a work release program that allowed the sex offender to leave his cell to work from his waterfront home between 12:30 and 2:30 p.m., according to the Palm Beach Post. As Assistant U.S. Attorney A. Marie Villafana put it in a letter to PBSO Deputy Chief Mike Gauger, letting Epstein spend time in a private office.
He's the son of Mr. Burns, who runs the Springfield nuclear facility.
Making telephone calls, web surfing, and having food delivered to him is probably not in accordance with the objectives of imprisonment. He was even reportedly allowed to accept visits from modeling scout Jean-Luc Brunel, another rampant sex trafficker who died under mysterious circumstances while awaiting trial in 2022, not too dissimilar from his good friend. When Epstein emerged from prison in 2009, he was able to resume life almost as if nothing had happened. He purchased 2 islands, traveled the world, and continued to socialize among the upper echelons of society. Big banks had no problem moving his vast sums of wealth around and helping him distribute payments, just as figures like Leon Black, Glenn Dubin, Woody Allen, David Copperfield, Jess Staley, Larry Summers, Bill Gates, and former Israeli Prime Minister...
Blood libel. Once again, he's doing it. Deep blood libel. This man doesn't exist. Okay, he does not exist. He's never been the prime minister. By the way, the Dylan B thing is just because he's using your name to bait dumb chatters in here to give you attention. Oh, okay. Justice for Dylan Burns, yeah.
Ehud Barak, to name a few, are all confirmed to have associated with Epstein years after he became a registered child sex offender. In fact, at the beginning of August, the New York Times published a story that revealed a separate birthday book filled up with fawning letters sent in by friends of Epstein for his 63rd birthday in 2016, 8 years after his very public conviction in 2008. Which, side note, but a birthday book for a milestone age, yeah, I get that. 50 makes sense. But 63? Are you getting one every year? Director Woody Allen reflects longingly on the time they spent together sitting around the pedophile's dinner table. What interesting conversations were had with the politicians, teachers, magicians, comedians, intellectuals, journalists, and others that frequented his Manhattan lair. The daunting 7-story Herbert N. Strauss mansion looming over Central Park that Epstein bought from his mentor Les Wexner, the same year, by the way, that Epstein's previous home ended up in the hands of this gentleman cackling next to another one of Epstein's friends.
I think, well, really...
Well, that's just Epstein's neighbor, you know.
Pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. According to Newsweek, Epstein sold his property on Fifth Avenue to a specialized trust before giving power of attorney to his lawyer, Jeffrey Shantz, who then sold the home to Comet Trust in 1996. 2 years later, it was purchased by current Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick for $4 million. The two remained neighbors until Epstein's 2019 arrest. Lutnick still owns the property to this day and even held a fundraiser there for Hillary Clinton's campaign in 2015, just a few feet away from a known ally of the Clinton family. It's a big club, and thank God we ain't in it. Speaking of that big club, this Times article reveals a number of esteemed figures smiling and posing with the pedophile in framed photos that lined the palace's interior. Some of these photos were already public, such as the one of Epstein and Ghislaine with Fidel Castro and Pope John II. But others...
He don't got internet. He don't got internet. He don't got internet.
...are new, like one purported mirror selfie of Epstein and Steve Bannon, which I absolutely need to see. Are you kidding me? How?
He don't got internet. He don't got internet, bro. Chill. Don't tarnish. Don't tarnish the good reputation of the GOAT Fidel. He don't got internet.
Can you not publish that? This one with Clinton is also new, and so is this candid shot of Noam Chomsky. Very weird one to frame. It looks like a paparazzi picture. We also see a framed dollar bill bearing the signature of Bill Gates with the words, "I was wrong," scribbled across, as if to imply Gates had lost some kind of bet to Jeffrey Epstein. Can only imagine what great stuff.
I will say, I feel like, in a weird way, even slop tubers, now obviously the crimes are not completely comparable, but even slop tubers overall are better than some of society's most wealthy elites. Because like these guys didn't give a f when Jeffrey Epstein was outed. Meanwhile, even some of Sex Pestiny Molestiny's deepest orbiters were like, yeah, I think trying to procure child sexual abuse material from a minor is a bridge too far for me. I'm out. So these guys, some of the wealthiest individuals in society, have a moral compass than slop tubers.
Stuff was going on there. The lineup also includes this uncomfortably close shot of Larry Summers, along with appearances from Richard Branson, Mick Jagger, and Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Not to mention this peculiar shot of who the Times identifies as Elon Musk sitting at a dinner table. Perhaps he was attending one of Epstein's famous dinner parties, the kind Woody Allen described in his 2016 letter. Reminiscing on all the good times they had together, Woody paints a bone-chilling picture of these.
I think Willie Mack is backtracking. Wait, he is? That's crazy. Not my Woody Mack. Woody Allen. Latest guest of Bill Maher's Club Random, by the way.
Dinners, where food was often served by young women, reminding one of Castle Dracula, where Bela Lugosi has 3 young female vampires who service the place. Add to this that Jeffrey lives in a vast house alone, Woody wrote. One can picture him sleeping in the damp earth. And I gotta give Woody credit here. Castle Dracula is a disturbingly accurate way to describe Epstein's mansion. As we've seen, guests who visited were met with not only this taxidermied tiger resting in Epstein's home office, but also reportedly dozens of framed prosthetic eyeballs that lined the entryway. This eerie sculpture of a bride clutching a rope that hung over the central atrium, a life-size chess set featuring the likeness of his staff clad only in their underwear, and of course this painting of his friend in a blue dress. If it weren't clear enough, from this massive crucifixion of Jesus Christ hanging in the bedroom of his New Mexico residence, Epstein certainly had an eclectic taste, if that's what you can call it, which should have been apparent to anyone who spent any time at all at any of his 5 properties, both before his conviction and after, just as the presence of his extremely young assistants should have been clear to anyone.
He is the guy that like makes it so hard for people like myself to be like, listen, a lot of the Illuminati cult stuff that you guys believe in, like, because there's conspiracy theorists that like tap into all the like Masonic imagery, like Illuminati sex cult stuff. And it's like Jeffrey Epstein makes it so hard to argue against that because he did unironically do a lot of that weird shit, like down to the strange island like getaway area that he had, like that little, I don't want to call it a mosque, but it just looks like a little temple on the island. Sometimes you have to wonder, was he doing it on purpose? Where he's like, yeah, people are going to get a real kick out of this. They're going to, let me really lean into the Illuminati angle here.
One of his guests too. Judging by his letter, it seemed pretty clear to Woody Allen. One photo, reviewed by the Times, though not published, is said to depict a drawing of the state of Israel, scribbled on a
that's also coincidence and a blood libel.
Chalkboard next to Ehud Barak's signature.
Also blood libel.
A man
Ehud Barak doesn't exist and is not a real person.
Not only met with the pedophile upwards of 30 times after stepping down as Israeli Prime Minister, Ehud Barak is also one of the 7 friends who wrote to Epstein in 2016. According to the Times, Barak's letter went as follows: "There is no limit to your curiosity. You are like a closed book to many of them, but you know everything about everyone."
I mean, what do you say? What do you say to this? Former Prime Minister of Israel in 2016 being like, hey, I loved when you had blackmail on everyone. It was awesome. Like, this is one step removed from being like, hey, Jeffrey, loved doing the pedophilia, sex trafficking, blackmail together. It was great. That's like, is one step removed. It's just a veiled version of saying that. That's crazy. That's crazy. You are like a closed book to many of them, but you know everything about everyone.
A statement that I'm sure won't make people think you're Mossad, and also is totally unrelated to the myriad of security cameras scattered about the bedrooms and hallways, whatever footage being collected on them having never seen the light of day. Referring to Epstein as a collector of people in all caps, Barak concluded his letter with, "May you enjoy long and healthy life, and may all of us, your friends, enjoy your table for many more years to come." Other letters came from Noam Chomsky, scientist Lawrence Krauss, Harvard biologist Martin Novak, and media mogul Mort Zuckerman, who, when suggesting ingredients for a meal that would reflect the culture of the house, described a simple salad and whatever else would enhance Jeffrey's sexual performance. Again, normal things to be sending your normal friend for his normal birthday. While these figures may publicly regret their associations and offer strong condemnations of their former friend now that they have no other choice, one can only speculate as to why such powerful men with so much to
What happened to just writing happy birthday? No, you can't. See, you don't understand. You don't understand. If you're writing a birthday message, a well thought out birthday message to prolific sex criminal Jeffrey Epstein, you can't just, a simple happy birthday doesn't suffice. You have to write a cryptic message that implies that you know that he is doing a blackmail sex trafficking operation and that you are very much involved in it, okay? You just have to write a letter that, you know, when people look at later down the line, they immediately go, oh my God, you definitely participated in the sex trafficking of minors in some capacity. Why do you at least know about it?
Blues continued to entertain Epstein's company regardless of his very public abuse of young girls. In 2017, Miami Herald journalist Julie K. Brown decided to dust off the Epstein case and re-examine his connections not only to the President of the United States, but also his recently appointed Labor Secretary Alexander Acosta, who just so happened to be the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida during the fateful year of 2008. As the DA, Acosta had personally signed off on that infamous non-prosecution agreement that allowed Epstein to avoid going to prison for the rest of his life. Brown wanted to know why Acosta let it happen. For the full story, I'd highly recommend reading her book, Perversion of Justice, which goes in depth on the whole cover-up at the heart of the U.S. government's handling of the case. We don't have time to divulge the details here, but for the sake of this video, it is worth noting that Brown's reporting did lead to a newfound interest in the case and forced the disgraced Acosta to resign from Trump's—
Oh my God, you're right. Acosta does look like an alien.
first cabinet in 2019, shortly after Epstein's second arrest at a New Jersey airport. Epstein remained in custody at the now closed Manhattan Corrections Facility for just 36 days before he was found dead in his cell, reportedly hanging from his bed in a sitting position with sheets tied around his neck and cloths strung all over the floor. It was ruled a suicide, as we all know, but that hasn't stopped the majority of the country from believing otherwise on account of several glaring anomalies, such as the security cameras malfunctioning, the guards being asleep on the job, and of course, the countless high-profile individuals who would undoubtedly benefit from him being dead didn't help either. As Epstein's own brother confirmed, Jeffrey had a lot of dirt on a lot of powerful people.
So do you think your brother had information? Do you think your brother had information? Knew things about powerful people?
Can you even read?
In the 2016 election, we were talking about the election, and Jeffrey
I don't know how to read.
told me that if he said what he knew about the candidates, they would have to cancel the election. That's a quote. That's exactly what he told me. He said, if I said what I knew about the candidates, they'd have to cancel the election. He didn't tell me what he knew, but that's what he said.
It also didn't help that just a few weeks earlier, Acosta was quoted in the Daily Beast telling White House reporters behind closed doors that the reason his office didn't put Epstein away for life in 2008 was simply because I was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone. Ironically enough, though, no one has left the Jeffrey Epstein story alone since his suspicious demise. In 2025, he boasts one of the most reviled names in modern history. His story, the basis of incredible intrigue and the source of endless conspiracy theories. After all, there's still so much we don't know. Who else was aware of his depraved sexual proclivities before he got caught? Who all participated? Why was he so easily let off the hook and allowed to continue abusing girls for another decade? What was the original source of his wealth? How was he able to kill himself in a maximum security prison? Did he kill himself? Was he an intelligence asset? And what would it say about our society if he were? Will any of these questions ever be answered within our lifetime? While those in the mainstream may write such questions off as fringe conspiracy theories, I don't believe it is in any way, shape, or form conspiratorial to ask them. The conventional story, as it stands, it doesn't add up, and the victims deserve full transparency from a government that either implicitly or otherwise allowed one of the biggest monsters of the 21st century to continue preying on them for years. The government's refusal to provide any transparency has only made the problem harder to ignore. Instead of actually seeking justice, certain parties have routinely exploited Epstein's repugnant legacy as a political football to score easy points again and again. First in 2008, then 2016, and of course, most prominently in 2024, when Donald Trump overtly signaled to his base that if elected, he would be the one to finally, at long last, release the files.
You talked earlier about, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. If you were president, would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you?
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so.
The response here has always been so funny to me because he clearly doesn't have any issue releasing the JFK files, the MLK files, even the 9/11 files. He's like, sure, yeah, of course, I'll do it. Who cares? But then he's asked about Epstein and it starts to get a little antsy, adding caveats and choosing his words a little more carefully.
Because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
To many of his followers, this was Trump making an explicit promise to expose a grave cover-up and dismantle an elite cabal of powerful pedophiles, not unlike his promise to drain the swamp 8 years prior.
There's a moment where you had some hesitation about Epstein, releasing some of the documents on Epstein. Why the hesitation?
I don't think I'm not involved, but yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
No, I'm not
That's
involved.
Great to hear.
There was just one small issue with this promise. He was never going to follow through on it.
People that they'll DM me and be like, you see what your boy doing? You voted for this. I'm like, I voted for none of this. He's doing the exact opposite of everything I voted for.
Yeah. I mean, are you kidding me? This is exactly what you voted for. Or in Andrew Schultz's case, a man you very much helped to elect.
It's so crazy. This group influenced the presidential election in 2024.
Yo, I don't even say influence. We decided.
We were the turning point.
He was not up until this pod.
It's true.
After the pod, he surges, 3 or 4%?
Yeah, it was a wrap, dude.
Never went back down after that.
You're talking about a guy who palled around with Epstein for 10 plus years and has gone on the record calling him a great hang. The same guy who appears in more smiling photographs with the late pedophile than in photos with his own parents. A guy who bragged to Howard Stern about barging into dressing rooms to ogle young contestants of his beauty pageants.
I'll go backstage before a show, and everyone's getting dressed and ready, and I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no clue. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible looking women, and so I sort of get away with things like that.
A guy who said he'd date his own daughter if he could. A guy who 27 separate women have accused of sexual misconduct. A guy who was found liable for sexual abuse in court. A guy who owned the property where Virginia Giuffre was recruited by Ghislaine Maxwell. A guy who then wished Ghislaine well during her sex trafficking trial.
I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well.
You thought that guy and his team of sycophants would be the one to blow the lid on this whole thing? I don't know what to tell you, man. You might have the brain of a dog.
When Kash Patel was on here, and he was like, there's nothing. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I didn't even know what to say. My thought was, and people are like, why didn't you push back more? My thought was like, I'm just going to put this out there and let the internet do its work.
The internet can do the work. Am I really the one that needs to push back? Yes, you're supposed to press him. He's the head of the FBI and he's on your show, sitting across from you. Have some level of journalistic responsibility, man. You got to ask questions. Oh, but I forgot. You're not a journalist. You're a comedian. That's right. Sorry, I don't mean to go off on so much of a tangent, but this, ladies and gentlemen, is what truly sets the opportunists apart from the real party operatives. The robotic ideologues spearheading the modern conservative movement will parrot any and all talking point passed down from the White House. Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro are staunch career defenders of the Republican Party. Joe Rogan and Andrew Schultz, sure, have no problem helping Donald Trump clean up his image, humanizing him on their respective podcasts. Oh, they'll even take credit for the win if it can make them look good and feel important for a fleeting second. But as soon as the other shoe drops and the masses turn on Trump, these guys are suddenly unable to stand by their president. What changed? Trump has always been this guy. You did, in fact, vote for just this. The art of the grift is a powerful thing. In fact, if you grift hard enough, you might just end up smiling like a jackal on the White House lawn, eager to accept a 3-ring binder of sordid sex crimes. Also, the phase 1 on the front of this thing really is the icing on the cake. It's been like 6 months of phase 1, and I'd just like to say it's going incredibly well.
Would you consider appointing a special counsel to investigate the Jeffrey Epstein investigation?
I have nothing to do with it.
In February, the Attorney General invited a number of politically friendly influencers to view what was sold as new information about the Epstein case that had never been seen before. This was a big deal, so naturally people got their hopes up. They all posed for a group photo that will no doubt go down in infamy for how mind-bendingly stupid it was in hindsight. The vapid expressions of the world's most gullible marks, excited to crack these bad boys open and be the first to post all of the salacious new tidbits inside, only to discover nothing new. The entire thing was a massive slap in the face to anyone who thought it was gonna be something. One of the first and finest fell for it again awards of the second Trump term. You can actually go and look at all of these new recently released files right now on the official FBI website, by the way, and it's kind of astounding the number of redactions there are. Like, did they just think no one was gonna open these? The little black book they post is a more redacted version of what was already published in Gawker 10 years before. I get why they'd want to censor the contact information of certain people, but still, don't pretend this is some kind of stunning new revelation. Like, why even post the masseuse list if the entire thing is redacted? I don't know why we would need to know the names of his masseuses anyway. I can't see why that would be pressing information for the public to be made aware of, but it is just strange to post here when it contains literally nothing. It's just black bars. I mean, why include this? Same thing with the flight logs. These were already public to begin with too. Just pages and pages of cryptic documents where you can barely even discern who the passengers are because they're mostly identified by their initials. We have a good idea of who JE and GM are.
Yeah, it's funny because apparently the new revelation from the House, the GOP oversight release, is the same exact one. GOP rep Tim Burchett told me it's a moot point now and move ahead with the Massey plan compelling release of docs. He had been a supporter of it. Massey needs 5 Republicans to force a vote. The GOP oversight release of the already public Epstein files, which is basically the binder's faux disclosure all over again, looks set to give at least some Republicans an excuse to avoid the discharge petition. Straight up, 97% of what the oversight committee has obtained was already public, and what is new is a fraction compared to what has been withheld. Nancy Mace apparently came out crying from the meeting with the Jeffrey Epstein victims. Nancy Mace was visibly upset as she left the meeting with the Epstein survivors at the Capitol. She declined to answer questions from the reporters.
Are sure, but am I supposed to know what?
The only hands they're shaking are pedophile hands, dude. Science as a candle in the dark. Think of the 50 bones. What a username.
What the hell AS stands for? I have no idea what this was supposed to be other than the political equivalent of jinx.
Like, isn't that crazy? It's just whiplash, dude. On the one hand, we're looking at Jeffrey Epstein and his direct involvement with numerous Western leaders. On the other hand, you got Xi Jinping shaking hands with the rest of the planet, the leadership of the rest of the world.
Keys in front of a 1-year-old. The whole lifting of the veil is a complete joke. What it really is this administration. You're stupid.
Even joking.
They think you're stupid, man. The best part is that not even the influencers bought it. And they were handed the files on a silver platter along with kisses and a warm welcome from the White House.
And they presented us with this binder. What's interesting is we're all waiting for bombshells. We're all waiting for juicy stuff. And that's not what's in this binder. That's not what's in this binder at all.
I mean, this is so lackluster that it's beyond apparent to me that the goal was to release as little as possible while still making good on all those pesky promises you made on the campaign trail that you wish people would just stop asking about. And if that was their reasoning, then I can't even imagine what phase 2 was supposed to include. A photo of Trump with a stain on the front of his pants? I mean, what the else were they gonna release?
After Trump had been elected, and I was sitting talking to Epstein, and he said, wait a minute. I got to show you something. And then he went into his safe and he came out with photographs. They were Polaroids, and he kind of spread them out like playing cards. I mean, I think there were a dozen of them, and it was Trump with girls of an uncertain age. And I remember very vividly 3 of them. There are 2 in which Trump is the girls, topless girls, are sitting on Trump's lap. And then a 3rd in which he has a
mandate of heaven, dude.
In the Supreme Court to overturn her conviction or testifying in front of Congress in return for a presidential pardon, which Trump still hasn't ruled out, by the way.
President Trump was asked whether he would consider a pardon for convicted sex trafficker and Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell.
Well, I'm allowed to give her a pardon, but nobody's approached me with it. Nobody's asked me about it.
Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell? It's something I haven't thought about. It's really something. I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about. But you wouldn't rule it out.
I mean, come on. The man sent his own personal defense attorney to negotiate with Ghislaine in private. Ghislaine, who already propositioned the Biden administration for info on Trump if it meant a pardon back then. You think she wouldn't say whatever it takes for a get-out-of-jail-free card? You think that's gonna quell the conspiracy theories?
Can you trust what she's telling him? She's a convicted trafficker who's eager to get out of prison.
Well, you know, he's a professional lawyer. I think he's been through things like this before. But, you know, you should focus on Clinton.
I mean, for Christ's sakes, you aren't helping your case by moving her out of an already lax facility in Florida to an even more lax facility in Texas. The same one that houses reality TV star Jen Shah and a friend of the channel, Elizabeth Holmes. According to a recent report by NBC, inmates here are provided more freedoms. They live in dormitory-style housing with no locked doors. They can mingle in sitting areas between housing units, and they have access to the recreation yard and a hobby and crafts area. Despite the chain link fence, the article notes, it's not unheard of for inmates to occasionally walk off the premises before being forced back. Sounds like the perfect spot for a woman who preyed on countless children for decades of her life. You gotta admit, it is pretty funny that Trump moved her to this minimal security jail right around the same time she came out and said she never saw the president doing anything concerning.
I certainly never witnessed the president in any of, I don't recall ever seeing him in his house, for instance.
People saying Trump is jealous that he wasn't invited to the Cool China Parade. Bitch, I'm jealous. Trump.
Never saw
Imagine being a part of the international media, being able to film that shit. That'd be so
the
sick.
president in any type of massage setting. I never witnessed the president in
But yeah,
any
Trump is jealous
inappropriate
too, for sure.
setting in any way. The president was never inappropriate with anybody. In the times that I was with him, he was a gentleman.
And did you ever hear Mr. Epstein or anybody say that President Trump had done anything inappropriate with masseuses or with anybody in your world?
Absolutely never. In any context.
That's a relief. Guess it was just a hoax all along then.
What did you see and hear at the time?
I saw Epstein with women. Anytime I saw anybody with him, they were happy to be with him. I never saw an aggressive move. I never saw anything that was
non-consensual.
Yeah, well, thank you. Okay. I never saw anything that was non-consensual.
I just want to pause here really quick because I want everyone to understand what we just witnessed. That was the deputy AG, formerly Donald Trump's own personal defense.
Excuse me, there's no wrongdoing here. It's totally normal to have Trump's former attorney be the current attorney general, okay, and his other former attorney be the deputy attorney general. No conflict of interest here. And then having him sit in a closed door deposition with the key witness with leading questions. None of that is weird and strange. It's all above board.
Attorney finishing Ghislaine's answer for her. We're supposed to believe there's nothing off about this dynamic. You're supposed to let her talk. Why are you helping a convicted sex trafficker in her testimony to the government? I guess we should just forget that she's a prolific abuser of young girls who has literally been charged with perjury twice before, but why not take her word at face value? Her judgment is perfectly clear, right, guys? And I mean, at the end of the day, isn't she just another victim after all?
She's also been subpoenaed by the Oversight Committee. I think this is great. I do have a feeling that she just might be a victim. She just might be. There was a rush to judgment. There was a lot of chaos there for a while. Granted, she hung out with Jeffrey Epstein, and I know that's apparently not good.
Even to those who...
Hey, by the way, who is now a part of the... So this is Newsmax. For those of you who don't know, this insane reporting, if you can call it that, is coming from Newsmax. Who is now on the board of Newsmax, you might be wondering? Oh, that's right. Alexander, Trump's former labor secretary, Acosta, who resigned in disgrace after there was a relitigation of his involvement giving Jeffrey Epstein a sweetheart plea deal when he was a prosecutor. Now he sits on the board of Newsmax, where Greg Kelly is saying insane shit like this. It's strange.
Epstein. And I know that's apparently not good.
Even to those who like Trump and don't think he's done anything wrong with Epstein, you have
Newsmax
to see...
is also where like all the Fox News rapists go to when they rape so much that even the other rapist executives of Fox News go, dude, you have raped too many. You need to dial back on the rapes. That's where they go. They go to Newsmax when they have raped so much that it is a rape too far by Fox News standards.
How bad this looks, right? You can't fire the prosecutor responsible for convicting Ghislaine and expect people to move along like there's nothing to see. At this point, nothing short of a full release of the 100,000 plus files the FBI has on Epstein will satisfy the public and recover Trump's approval rating. Hell, in my mind, it's the only way Trump can fully exonerate himself if he truly does have nothing to hide. But the way the Bureau redacted his name from the files, along with his evasiveness toward the subject, he's only managed to make himself look increasingly more suspect.
7 years from the time that you learned that people were being stolen from Mar-a-Lago to the time that you took on Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, I don't understand your question.
After all, I understand why he's anxious. The Epstein files do have the capacity to...
Hassan Farsan plays, I pay you money, read my username. And I burp into the mic, too.
Destroy people, as the president himself seems keenly aware of. Another quote attributed to Trump is, "They're trying to f*** me," which I don't really like to imagine Trump saying, personally. According to what insiders told the Daily Beast, though, the president was panicking back in July that they're going to accuse me of some funny business, even while insisting he had nothing to do with Epstein's criminal activity. It is true that Epstein's legacy has come back to haunt Trump in a way that his detractors have latched onto, even if it did take them a minute. The Epstein angle certainly wasn't the shit Republicans expected, though, to say the least, shooting down a bill sponsored by Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna that would have demanded a full release of the files, in addition to Speaker of the House Mike Johnson issuing a recess of Congress so that no more Epstein-related votes can happen until at least September. While some notable Republicans have done the right thing in calling for transparency, they still remain very much in the minority, which has led some voters to question, well, everything.
We go to Travis in South Dakota. Hello, Travis.
Hi, Glenn. Hi, JD.
I want to check in with Travis like one of these days, see what he's up to. The famous pro-Trump guy who was like having his world fall apart.
Listen, I tell you what, guys, I feel really betrayed and I feel really, really angry. We have a president who tells us to move on from Epstein because it doesn't matter. Are you guys still talking about this? Seriously? People like me will not stop talking about this. I feel so betrayed and so angry. This is not what I voted for. If we do not stand up for the children of this country, we have nothing. We have absolutely nothing. And I tell you what, I've also lost a lot of respect for a lot of people that are prominent figures in this country because they are saying, you know what, this doesn't matter. But you know what, the children of this country really, really matter. How can we just sweep them under the rug and not care?
Of course, Trump has already made it clear that he doesn't want these boys, and in some cases gals, supporting him anyway. It's not without reason that this saga was the impetus for a major rift within the MAGA base. Whatever faith people had in this administration dried up as soon as Kash Patel's FBI and Pam Bondi's DOJ first lit the match that ignited the entire firestorm we're dealing with now. After months of hyping it up in the media, the top prosecutors in America released a groundbreakingly damning account of the full Jeffrey Epstein case laid out in plain view, packed to the brim with explosive testimony and mountains of new evidence exposing the elite pedophile network pulling the strings of our very constitutional republic. I'm kidding, they shot out a 2-page memo saying they were closing the case. See, this whole thing blew up July 7th when the government concluded that an exhaustive search of its databases, hard drives, cabinets, desks, and closets, which, yeah, okay, I'm sure you were searching the desks and closets, turned up no client list, no credible evidence of blackmail, and no evidence to warrant an investigation of uncharged third parties in their relation to one of the most high-profile and well-connected sex traffickers in recent history. As you could expect, this report, along with the added conclusion that Epstein did in fact kill himself, didn't exactly go over too well with anyone who's followed the Epstein saga closely, whether they be on the left or right. And instead of closing the chapter on Epstein, a brand new one has opened up, one that not even Teflon Don himself has managed to ignore. It is very funny that whenever he's presented with new unearthed photos of, say, Epstein at his second wedding, or the bizarre letter he wrote to him back in 2003, Trump's immediate response is, you gotta be f***ing kidding me. I mean, he doesn't hide how he feels, I'll give him that. With each passing day, you get the feeling that the man is becoming increasingly desperate for any kind of distraction at any cost, even if it means calling up MAGA influencers and personally asking them to avoid bringing up the subject on their shows, or rather, put down the MAGA rebellion, as one White House insider recently told Rolling Stone. Administration officials closely monitored the overwhelmingly negative reactions to the memo by right-wing allies and influencers, drawing up divide and conquer style lists laying out which Trump officials should reach out to which Epstein conspiracists in hopes of persuading them to ease up on Team Trump. The magazine concluded the damage control operation stretched on for long enough that Trump himself jumped in, working the phones to try to sway some of his most devoted followers to leave the Epstein issue alone. The senior level outreach campaign verged on the kind of sensitive operation typically reserved for things like passing a major piece of legislation. The extent to which these people went to shut up anyone in their herd who may stray a little too far away from the pack is incredibly revealing, but it's also hard to argue it hasn't kind of worked. Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk went on to express his unwavering devotion to the administration despite an exceeding lack of transparency.
Honestly,
I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last weekend.
A quick word of advice to anyone following politics in any capacity. If somebody tells you to just trust the government, bro, that person is not to be trusted. But those are the marching orders from the top, after all. And if you want to keep your good standing with the government, you'd be wise to fall in line. I swear to God, these past couple months have spawned some of the most deranged takes I've ever seen in my life.
Should Ghislaine Maxwell be behind bars?
She shouldn't be, but she is. They sentenced her to a sentence that would have been appropriate for Epstein, but not at all appropriate for her. And so she's appealing now, and I hope the appeal will be granted. She deserves to be out.
I have spent the last 17 years in my own prison for what she, Jeffrey, and all the co-conspirators did to me. I was raped repeatedly. I was raped 3 times a day sometimes. And I was not the only girl on that island. There was a constant stream of girls being raped over and over and over again. And yes, Ghislaine must die in prison because I've been in hell and back for the last 17 years.
She deserves to be out.
Take Scott Adams, aka the creator of Dilbert, the cartoon on the bathroom calendar at your grandma's house, who pretty much admitted the country would fall into disarray if the files were released, and that it'd be better not to risk it, since that would mean the Republican Party losing control of Congress, which would plunge the country into a Democrat open border hellscape. Nurse, he's out again. Hard to imagine why he deleted that one. Or let's take a look at the beautiful mind of Alex Jones. A man who has practically built his entire career on rooting out the secret pedophile cabal at the top of society and is having his worldview completely obliterated.
What a fall from grace for Alex Jones. That's right.
Obliterated as a result of Trump's inaction.
So now, by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. So I just got to the office. So I'm going to go throw up, actually. I mean, I'm physically going to puke probably right now. My mouth is watering right now. Because I have integrity.
The disarray goes all the way up to the very highest places of the administration, in fact, with Deputy FBI Director and guy who definitely doesn't do steroids, Dan Bongino, reportedly threatening to resign over the July memo, a threat that just about gave Trump a fucking heart attack. The last thing he needs right now is more disunity. Everyone in the administration has been put in a position where, on the one hand, they need to carry out the president's bidding, but on the other, they still want to somewhat save face with the public. And that includes Pam Bondi, who feigned outrage at the FBI supposedly withholding valuable information from the DOJ in February. Back then, Bondi was furious and demanded the FBI give her the rest of the files by that.
Wait, did I miss my own tweet? Is that what you said?
Save face with the public. And that includes Pam Bondi, who feigned outrage at the FBI supposedly withholding valuable information from the DOJ in February. Back then, Bondi was furious and demanded the FBI give her the rest of the files by that Friday. Surprisingly, Friday came and went without a peep.
Okay, well, I didn't see it. Oh.
The way up to the very highest places of the administration, in fact, with Deputy FBI Director and guy who definitely doesn't.
Dan, please leak your steroid routine. Are you accusing me of a drug crime on an open platform? Be very careful with your answer here, because I promise you that the wrong one will be very expensive for both you and the young turds. That's real. That's real. He did do that to me a long time ago, back when this was my profile picture. Yeah, and then he blocked me. Were you careful with your answer? I couldn't even give an answer because he blocked me.
And do more dissidents bidding Bondi, who in Fed of the files by that Friday. Surprisingly, Friday came and went without a peep from her department. The disgrace of the memo they drafted up together was released 2 months later. But because none of this ever seems to go away, they've been forced to release something in an attempt to tie people over, which culminated in us seeing the raw prison footage of Epstein's cell the night he died. Only the footage wasn't raw, and it wasn't even footage of his cell. The footage instead shows only a glimpse of the common area. You can barely make out a few pixels of what I guess is supposed to be Epstein walking up to his cell in the hours before his death, but it didn't even take a day for experts to realize this footage was altered with a minute missing, which Bondi explained away as being routine in most jails, even though it doesn't matter at that point because they had already lied about it being raw footage.
At 11:21 p.m. and 34-second camera or a screen recording and was not an export of the raw file.
As others had pointed out, the real raw footage wouldn't have a cut. A CBS News investigation from this past July also lays out some of the government's other inconsistencies that don't quite match the evidence they've given us. For instance, the FBI claimed that anyone entering Epstein's cell would have needed to pass this common area that we see on the tape. Yeah, that's not true. As CBS pointed out in their analysis, Epstein's cell was in the L block, accessible via a staircase from the special housing unit's common area. When Epstein appears on camera, he's seen walking toward the stairs leading to his cell, but since the staircase is almost entirely out of view from the camera, he is never seen ascending. The entrance to Epstein's cell, they continue, as well as the primary entrance to the special housing unit, are off camera in the same direction, meaning there's no way to tell from the video if he went to his cell or exited the SHU. As CBS concludes, while brief movement is occasionally visible on the stairs when someone is walking up the left side, the area remains mostly obscured throughout the recording, making it impossible to determine if someone may have entered the SHU through the primary entrance and accessed the staircase without ever being captured on the recording. As one video forensics expert told the publication, to say that there's no way that someone could get to the stair up to his room, without being seen is false. And that's just one of the inconsistencies they mention, mind you. They also acknowledge an unidentified figure who appears to enter the SHU that was not mentioned in the Inspector General's report, and they also point out that there were 2 additional cameras recording that night. One pointed at an elevator bank used to transfer inmates, and another pointed at a guard's desk, which the government has still not released on the basis that that footage would not be helpful to the investigation, which of course experts dispute as well. And I just don't understand. At a time when you were supposedly trying to usher in a new era of transparency or whatever, I cannot for the life of me imagine why the ever-loving you would conceal any footage, even if it had no relation to what took place that night. Who cares? Just put it out. I mean, do you want there to be more conspiracy theories? What do you have to lose in showing us everything you have? If you want a fuller and more visual
Sometimes it makes me feel like, yes, the answer is yes, they want us to be crazy.
breakdown of all the inconsistencies, I recommend watching both the CBS investigation as well as this video by CoffeeZilla, where, like the maniac he is, he actually recreated the entire unit in 3D. Both of these videos paint a much clearer picture of what the prison actually looked like that night, and both poke some major holes in the official narrative pushed by the government. As CoffeeZilla himself states, this is either a case of extreme negligence or a more deliberate cover-up. Either way, it indicates that the DOJ still owes us more information. Until then, we'll just have no choice but to speculate on strange details, like an orange blur making its way up the stairs to Epstein's cell shortly before he turned up dead. We'll have to wonder what was said on the unrecorded phone call Epstein made to a person he said was his mother, but couldn't possibly be it since she died years before his arrest. Hell, why he was able to make an unrecorded phone call late at night in the first place has yet to be answered either. None of it adds up, and the answers we do get seem to change by the day. 1 second, Trump says he was never told he was in the Epstein files. The next, it's being reported that he was in fact told, which his own DOJ still hasn't denied, by the way. It's the lack of transparency, the blatant cover-up, and frantic damage control directed by the president and his allies that's fueled the very speculation they want us to shut up about and move on from. Speculation that could be shut down immediately with the full release of the files. But like the previous—
I'm gonna finish this first before I watch the parade, okay? Calm down.
of guns resembles wars of soldiers on the battleground.
Okay, yes. The march started. Everybody shut up. It's the same shit.
Administrations to come before his, the Trump camp continues to drag their feet. And every day that they do is another day that Epstein's victims are disrespected and denied the justice they have always deserved. With everything considered, it is impossible not to wonder what exactly our leaders are so terrified of coming out. What could possibly prompt a directive to redact Trump's name everywhere it appears in the FBI's files? Why lie about his name being in the files in the first place? Why lie about the footage being raw? And why let this issue completely splinter the MAGA base if it had no merit whatsoever? Just what exactly do they not want us to talk about?
I never had the privilege of going to his island, and I did turn it down, but a lot of people in Palm Beach
dumbass iPad kids, bro. I swear to God, y'all want like Subway Surfers on this shit.
were invited to his island. In one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want to go to his island.
For practically his entire life, the WWE Hall of Famer has managed to dodge, skirt, and wipe his hands clean of just about every single controversy he's been involved in, with one glaring exception.
Look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats because we've had the most successful 6 months in the history of our country.
The recent fury expressed by the president when confronted with his undisputable ties to a late sex trafficking pedophile says a lot. Over the past 10 years, I really haven't once seen him respond so viscerally to any other controversy before. Trump is usually able to let just about everything roll off his back, but this is different, which is why I think his connection to Epstein deserves a deep dive of its own. And in about 2 weeks, you're gonna get to see just that. I hope you stick along for the ride, whether you voted for Trump or not. His friendship with one of the most infamous criminals in modern history deserves a closer look, as do his ties to the murky side of the modeling business and beyond. Until then, thanks so much for watching this fourth installment in my seemingly never-ending Jeffrey Epstein saga. Sources will be down in the description as always, but before we go, I do want to hit you with another piece of Epstein lore that doesn't get enough attention. His Spotify playlist. Yes, this is real. I didn't really know where else to put this, but I had to include it somewhere. According to the Business Insider article that first reported on this account back in 2019, which included the supposed Twitter and Pinterest account reportedly owned by the late Predator, the latter of which contains this eerie mural of Peter Pan as some kind of sick inspiration, I guess. The state of New York requires registered sex offenders to hand over internet information to the government, which can be emails and social media accounts. Although the information isn't usually public, social media companies with users under the age of 18 can request to see it, which is how we know this playlist, which Epstein used throughout the 2010s, is in fact real. His account, named JEE Vacation, and JEE standing for Jeffrey Edward Epstein, features 19 public playlists in total, and feature names like New, Paris Flight, Paris Return, Piano, Jump, Pitbull, Elton John, Beatles, Me Likey Now, and a bunch of other misspellings like Gossipel and Broadway, which is hardly surprising if you've seen any of his email correspondence with Ghislaine from 2015, the same time he was said to have been building these very playlists. I've covered these
or his Ehud Barak emails as well. He cannot spell for bro.
Emails before on this channel, but in case you haven't seen them and needed more evidence of this Spotify being real, I think that pretty much seals it. When we take a look at the actual playlists themselves, we find titles like Classica, which includes the Imperial March from Star Wars. While it absolutely sends shivers down my spine to think about Jeffrey Epstein flying around the globe on the Lolita Express, bumping a Darth Vader's theme music, it somehow isn't the worst thing on these playlists. You can also find Van Halen's Hot for Teacher, a song called My Heart Belongs to Daddy, Eric Clapton's Before You Accuse Me. You can also find a playlist titled Selena, which, as Business Insider points out, happens to be the name of Glenn Dubin's daughter. The Dubins, as I've talked about in previous videos, are a family of billionaires who were good friends with Epstein even after his 2008 conviction. He even reportedly dated Glenn's wife Eva in the 80s. To name a playlist after their daughter is so beyond creepy that I don't even want to think about it. We also also know that Epstein was a Louis C.K. fan, as he had his 2010 special Hilarious saved. He also has a lot of Beyonce, Drake, Eminem, Rihanna, and Skrillex saved, along with Mac Miller's Donald Trump, which I think is kind of funny. You can find a lot of mainstream artists here in his exercise playlist, which of course is misspelled too, but it's where he saved LMFAO's Party Rock Anthem and I'm Sexy and I Know It. And with that, I'm sure at this point you've learned more about Jeffrey Epstein than you'd ever care to know, but if I had to be cursed...
That's like a double crime, dude. It's like pedophilia and also doing it to LMFAO is like doubly up.
Just with the knowledge that this guy had an entire playlist dedicated to Pitbull on his Spotify, well then, so do you.
Another banger from Jaubrey on Jeffrey Eduardo Epstein, Jedediah Epstein. All right, here's the China parade. You
invite. It's where we began a Minneapolis story, but an American problem. Fear and sadness, parents and children, an entire community there grappling with tragedy at a church. 2 children shot and killed during morning mass at a Catholic school. The first week of school, they were just back from the summer break. 17 other people hurt in this incident. 14 of those people, children themselves. Police say the shooter, the back of the church by right there at the scene. No official motive has been announced. CBS Evening News co-anchor Maurice Dubois is on the ground for us, leading our coverage outside Annunciation Church in Minneapolis. Maurice, here we go again. Good morning.
We are going again here, Tony. No one can get their heads around this thing. It was just the 3rd day of school for students at Annunciation Catholic here in Minneapolis. They teach kids from preschool through 8th grade. They were gathered for Mass when those shots rang out, shattering what should have been moments of peace, prayer, reflection, anticipation, replaced instead by violence and death. As this community mourns, the FBI is investigating the attack as an act of domestic terrorism and a hate crime targeting Catholics. CBS News has confirmed the shooter, 23-year-old Robin Westman, was once a student at the school whose mother previously worked there. We'll have more details on the investigation in just a few minutes, but first, Usher Qureshi here now with more on how this happened. Usher, good morning to you.
Good morning, Maurice. Well, the Minneapolis police chief says all 17 injured shooting victims are expected to survive, and leaders here are sending a unified message. Action is needed to ensure this never happens again. We should warn you that the following video is hard to watch.
Where's the shooter? Where's the shooter?
Terrifying video provided to CBS News by a parent shows panicked children running out of the chapel at Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis, moments after a shooter opened fire during morning mass Wednesday.
This tragedy is so commonplace that it's basically like reminding people that school is back in session at this point when a school shooting takes place. That's how common it is in the United States of America. Having said that, we already know what the problems are here. We already know how to stop it. Other countries don't have these sorts of issues. I wonder why. Now, of course, the reaction to yet another school shooting taking place in the United States of America has also become serialized. People are now immediately running to attack whatever group or identity they despise as the singular sole responsible party here. They're claiming that the shooter was trans. Now, I don't know. I've seen information that they might have been. I've seen information that they were a detransitioner. But one thing that is 100% certain is that the shooter was a Nazi, okay? And it's interesting because while the overwhelming majority of school shooters and mass shooters alike are actually white men, okay, on the younger side, the overwhelming majority, like it's like 98% or something. It's nuts, right? There's been like 3 trans shooters in the last decade, as opposed to like 98% is all white men. These people immediately go, oh, the shooter is trans. We got to do something about trans people. And what's crazy about it is that the last 3 shootings of this sort were actually conducted by non-white men. There was a femcel neo-Nazi, a white woman. There was a black Hebrew Israelite / white supremacist neo-Nazi, a black man. And last but not least, this person who I think is a detransitioner or is trans, it doesn't matter, but still a neo-Nazi. Now, what's interesting about this is that they are all coming from the same group. They're all coming from the same Telegram circles that they're in. This is the Order of Nine Angles and its other decentralized subsidiary groups, and it's very clear from the same pattern that is developed in all of these other shootings that have taken place and all these other like universal incidents of terrorism that have taken place, that they are getting radicalized at these insanely niche, hyper-specific, esoteric, neo-Nazi, satanic groups that they have on Telegram channels. They just actively seek out more and more insane shit. And ultimately their goals are 9 angles, not 9 angels. People say it's 9 angels, but it's 9 angles, I'm pretty sure. Now, there's no firm connection to O9A so far, Order of 9 Angles, but the suspicion is there because of the patterns that exist in this shooting, as opposed to all the other shootings as well. Okay, I covered this group when we were talking about the Roblox suspected terrorism incident. It's actually shocking how insane their worldview is. Like these guys are one step above the the Groyper movement. They're like even more insane than the Groyper movement. They start their radicalization trajectory in the same ways that many others do, where they like watch, you know, SJWs get owned compilations or whatever, or maybe they have like a bad breakup and they're like looking for you know, some fuck women content or whatever the and then they slowly but surely go through the process of radicalization online through the algorithms and get to like the Groyper movement. And then some of them beyond the neo-Nazi Groyper movement seek out even more insane, more esoteric versions of expressions of neo-Nazi sentiment. And they find themselves in these groups that are directly created to have these sorts of acts of terror, and they celebrate these sorts of acts of terror, and they actually try to actively get people in these Telegram groups to get radicalized enough to commit acts of terror themselves. It's like a grooming cult, basically, but it's primarily online. It's Terrorgram 09A and 764 and other assorted accelerationist communities. This stuff used to be on 4chan and 8chan, but now it's gone even deeper into stranger forms. I would describe them as a nihilistic, esoteric, fascist accelerationist, which is disturbing because it's the same ideology informing JD Vance via Nick Land and co. Yes, but of course, JD Vance is too rich and too invested in like becoming president to ever entertain this kind of shit. It's just the underpinnings of this fascist ideology, this fascist accelerationist ideology is the same, but obviously JD Vance is not going to be doing a school shooting anytime soon. It's the Curtis Yarvin. Like they have similarities, like JD Vance and the Silicon Valley Tech CEO affiliates have like similarities with that same kind of like esoteric accelerationism, esoteric fascist accelerationist ideas, but it's definitely definitely not super common, I would say. Now, the thing is, while it's not super common, because like how many people do you know that like directly worship school shooters and white supremacist terrorists like this person did, right? There's not that many of them, because that's like you have to be insane. But the problem is when you combine no adequate healthcare solutions for deep mental health complications that kids are experiencing, and you combine like isolationism or isolation that they feel and alienation that they feel, and also an immediate arsenal that is readily available at a moment's notice, and you create this powder keg where even a couple dudes in a Telegram channel can decide to do something so impactful and so traumatic. Yeah, James Berger was 21. James Berger is the Texas guy who was LARPing as like a Islamic jihadist on Roblox. He got investigated and was arrested by the FBI. This Robin person was 22. The Nazi girl was 15. The black white supremacist, I forget, was also, I think, underage as well. So they prey on a lot of like lonely and up kids for the most part, or like young adults, and try to egg them on into committing an act of suicidal terror. Okay. And yes, there is no minimum age for recruitment. They recruit as young as 8, and a lot of these communities also are like actively like pedophilic as well, which should not be shocking at all. I checked the Twitter account of this person when it was available, and there was a bunch of like everything was memes. Everything was like masquerading as memes, but they'd be like, "Oh, me and the Diddy Bloods," and then it was like a video of like a child, being sexually assaulted. So a lot of this stuff like masquerades as like edgy, nihilistic, esoteric neo-Nazi memes, but in reality, these people do believe it. Yes, Eskişehir mosque stabbing was another one of these as well. It even happened in Turkey. On August 12, 2024, a mass stabbing attack took place outside of Tepebaşı Cami in Eskişehir, Turkey. The suspect behind the attack has been identified as 18-year-old Arda Küçükyetim. The attack was live-streamed on Kick through a camera attached to the suspect's vest. 5 people were stabbed and injured before Küçükyetim was detained by the police. One of these people was hospitalized in serious condition, but has since then recovered. Anyway.
It was like right beside me. I was like 2 seats away from the stained glass windows.
5th grader Weston Halsney said he hid under a pew as the shooter fired through the windows from outside.
My friend Victor saved me though, because he laid on top of me, but he got hit. He's really brave, and I hope he's good in the hospital.
Police say 2 students, an 8 and 10-year-old, were killed, and the shooter died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound in the church parking lot. It's not clear if the shooter ever entered the building.
That coward has been identified as 23-year-old Robin Westman. No prior criminal history. As to the weapons used to perpetrate this horrific attack, there was a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. All 3 had been lawfully purchased.
According to law enforcement, first responders swarmed the scene immediately, rushing the 17 surviving victims to area hospitals. And after parents arrived to reunite with their children, some visibly overcome by emotion, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey said it was time to take action.
Don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. They should be able to go to school or church in peace without the fear or risk of violence, and their parents should have the same kind of assurance.
Yeah. It's really interesting that I think yesterday Asmongold was talking about how the shooter was a leftist and whatnot. But I believe he recently tweeted about how it's not about politics. And I wonder it's because he realized that the shooter's actual nihilistic edgelord, pro-Anders Breivik tendencies were actually far closer to someone like his worldview, as also another Anders Breivik enjoyer. For those of you who don't know, Anders Breivik, of course, is a very famous, very prominent neo-Nazi terrorist who in Norway conducted one of the most, one of the worst acts of terror that Norway has ever faced. He went to an island where there was like a Marxist social democrat youth movement that was gathering, and he shot a bunch of people. He actually blew up a government building as well, which is someone that Asmongold clearly enjoyed so much that he actually nabbed Anders Breivik's WoW account username for himself and celebrated that. It's just interesting because he did this. He did this yesterday. I believe he was talking about how trans the shooter was and how leftist the shooter was, but maybe I'm wrong. So I wonder why he changed his attitude here. Anyone trying to play the blame game when a shooting happens and say which side the shooter was on is a R-word? Read the comments, the manifesto. They're not right or left wing. They're insane. These people transcend politics and operate in the realm of psychosis. Interesting. And of course, because these tragedies are so commonplace that like everyone has their own version. Everyone has their own version of like, how do I make this about my worldview? Yeah. Well, pretty sure if there's like a similarity between this shooter and their worldview, I think it's closely associated with Asmongold's at least former political positions. I don't know if he still maintains this pro-Anders Breivik stance.
Like, I'll just say it the way it is. A lot of people might not like this. That's why I'm going to do it. The amount of like LGBT people that very openly and just brazenly advocate for and celebrate violence against people that don't acknowledge their lifestyle as being legitimate needs to be zero. The amount of people that should be doing that on social media, the goal number of that should be zero. And right now it's socially tolerated in a way that I think is completely unacceptable. Like, I'll just say it the way it is. A lot of people might not like that.
That's interesting. Remember when he said Palestinians are an inferior culture that deserve to be genocided because they don't like the gays? Kind of feels like his worldview is all over the place, huh? Almost feels like he's just at the mercy of whatever his chat is saying. Once again, I wonder if he'll ever cover like the Destiny or Ethan Klein drama. And if he hasn't, I wonder why. I don't know. Maybe he will. Who knows? He said he won't because of legal matters. Huh, interesting. It's just odd. Or maybe because he's a pussy who's too afraid of Destiny coming after him. And right now he's still a reliable vehicle for both Destiny and Ethan Klein at different times to attack someone like myself. How's that for being Mr. Brave? Because right now, let's be real, a lot of political content creators kind of avoid talking about Asmongold because they're afraid of his audience. They're afraid of the wrath of his audience, right? I'm not, but there are large enough communities that normally wouldn't care about such things. Those communities, of course, have their crosshairs on someone like myself, or maybe in this circumstance, one another. The reality is everybody knows who those communities are and what their communities behave like, and they simply don't want the smoke. So they will refuse to cover this kind of thing and only cover it if it's someone like myself, because I take a principled position and don't actually actively demand that my community go after my enemies and dox them and constantly try to get them deplatformed. That's it. That's the reason.
Now, law enforcement executed 4 search warrants yesterday, 1 at Annunciation and 3 at residences tied to the shooter. The police chief said a smoke bomb was discovered at the church and additional firearms were being recovered at those residential locations.
Okay. Usher Qureshi, thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My name is Joe Thompson. I'm the acting United States Attorney for the District of Minnesota. Yesterday, Minnesota was attacked. It was an attack, first and foremost, on our children and our families, an attack at a school and in a place of worship. It was also an attack on our city, our state, and our country. The U.S. Attorney's Office, the FBI, ATF, and other federal law enforcement are working with state and local partners to investigate this heinous act. Our investigation is twofold. First, we are seeking to confirm what we believe to be true, which is that the shooter acted alone and that no one else was involved, that the threat died with the shooter yesterday. We believe that to be true, but we'll leave no stone unturned to ensure the safety of our community. Second, we are investigating the motive, why and how this happened. The shooter left behind hundreds of pages of writings that describe the shooter's plan, writings that describe the shooter's mental state, and more than anything, writings that describe the shooter's hate, pure, indiscriminate hate. The shooter expressed hate towards almost every group imaginable. The shooter expressed hate towards black people. The shooter expressed hate towards Mexican people. The shooter expressed hate towards Christian people. The shooter expressed hate towards Jewish people. In short, the shooter...
I guess he was Muslim then, huh? Oh, wait. The shooter was a psychotic neo-Nazi who literally celebrated the Christchurch mosque shootings.
Appeared to hate all of us. The shooter's heart was full of hate. There appears to be only one group that the shooter didn't hate. One group of people who the shooter admired. The group were the school shooters and mass murderers that are notorious in this country. The shooter idolized some of the most notorious school shooters and mass murderers in our country's history.
And around the world. Anders Breivik, the Christchurch massacre. Wait a minute. I thought the shooter was a trans woke lefty. What? That's so crazy. How could this have happened? I just don't understand why you don't actively say the shooter is very clearly a Nazi. Like, what's going to happen? You're worried about other Nazis being like, this is not us? What are you, defaming Nazis? Like, the shooter is very clearly a Nazi. All of the signs point to that. And yes, Nazis can be anti-Christian too. It's not that strange. There are plenty prominent neo-Nazis that are pagan, that are anti-Christian as well. Like, what are we doing? What the is going on right now?
Won't name them, just like I won't name the shooter. They don't deserve to have their names remembered. As I said, the shooter left behind hundreds of pages of writings. There is a lot to digest, and we'll know more in the coming days and weeks as we've had an opportunity to go through them. But reading them, one thing is clear. And it's going to be hard to hear, but it's important to the question of why this happened. More than anything, the shooter wanted to kill children, defenseless children. The shooter was obsessed with the idea of killing children. The shooter saw the attack as a way to target our most vulnerable among us while they were at their most vulnerable.
A pedophile neo-Nazi. Yeah. One thing that has really troubled me about Christchurch is considering the scale of recruitment that it offered for O9A, Order of Nine Angles, derived ideologies. How many irony poison kids went for looking for the video in 2019 right into the open arms of a terrorgram? 5 digits, 6 digits. These are all some of the confirmed affiliates, and they literally operate on Roblox and shit. It's not a joke. Look, they are on Roblox. They're talking to your young relatives. What's crazy is that they are going to turn around and unleash the most comprehensive, unlimited security apparatus, the unlimited surveillance machine, the most Israel-style surveillance machine you've ever seen in your life. So they have more people. These are the ones who are motivated by Order of Non-Angle style affiliate groups. What is this?
Trace, as you know, correct.
Oh my God, Israeli-grade ontology. Okay, I hadn't seen this clip, but I'm glad someone is saying it out loud. Wow.
Correct, 100%. And she's 100% correct. I am now about to launch Gideon, America's first ever AI threat detection platform built specifically for law enforcement. It scrapes the internet 24/7 using an Israeli-grade ontology to pull specific threat language and then routes it to local law enforcement. It's a 24/7 detective. It never sleeps, and it's going to get us in front of these attacks.
Would it have picked up on this, do you think?
100%. I wish my program would already be up. We're not launching until next week. I've got a dozen agencies on board, Trace. I just unloaded a major Northeast agency with over 2,700 sworn. This is America's early warning system.
Lieutenant Mark Evans.
Trace, as you know, correct, 100%, and she's 100% correct. I am now
We are so hooked, bro. I mean, what do I say about this? What do I say about this? We're so goddamn cooked. Israeli-grade ontology? What the Oh my God. Anytime anybody ever says like Israel, they're going to have drone strikes happening now. Great. I've been telling you that these want Israel here, okay? They want Israel here for Christian supremacy, white supremacy. They want white Christian Israel, okay? This is quite literally the reason why Richard Spencer, famous prominent neo-Nazi Richard Spencer, used to say, I love Israel. I hate the Jews, but I love Israel. I want to do Israel here in America. How come they get to have an ethno-state? We should do the same. I'm glad this is where we're at now. It's awesome. Now we got Palantir up our asshole. Obviously, I'm going to be talking about Palantir a little bit more extensively because Matthew Petty at Reason, the libertarian blog Reason, uncovered a trove of emails between Jeffrey Epstein and Ehud Barak where they actually directly talk about Palantir as a use case for America, but that's later in the game. Let's get back to this shooter and the obvious background that you will not get anywhere else. This is why I say I have my own biases, but I'm at least honest about said biases. But ultimately, I will never look away from the truth. I will never shy away from reporting on whatever the actually took place. So one of the only reasons why I even touch breaking news stories like this is usually to disparage the existing narratives before they launch. Because in the aftermath of breaking news incidents like mass school shootings and things of that nature, right-wingers immediately storm the battlefield and just start slinging. They're like, they used to do this after every single domestic terror incident and say, it's a Muslim, it's Islamic terror, Islamic terror. Now they do it with trans people. And it's completely ridiculous. It is completely ridiculous because the government is using this as an opportunity to further on trans people, when in fact trans people have made up, I believe, 3 whole mass shooting incidents in the past decade, as opposed to white men, cisgender white men, making up like 98% of mass shooting incidents. So it's crazy. It's like 0.01% of mass shooting incidents that have taken place have been conducted by trans people, and yet these guys say it's trans people every single time. Now, this person could potentially have been trans. There's some evidence to suggest that they were a detransitioner, as in they were trans at some point and then or they were transitioning at some point and then decided, like, I don't want to transition. I'm actually assigned male at birth, and I'm AMAB. I'm male. I'm not a trans woman. Okay, but it doesn't matter, because even if this person was trans, even if this person in the unimaginably unlikely scenario was not only trans, but also literally like a leftist or something, okay, which that's not what happened. But even if that was the case, that would be the hyper rare exception. He watched you? No, he didn't. Why are you saying stupid, nonsensical? What the is wrong with you? Why do you think someone who literally talks about 6 million Jews were not enough or whatever the and is like in these neo-Nazi circles would ever watch me or be a fan of mine? If anything, they might have known who I am and despised me. I don't get why people say stupid shit like this. Maybe they say it because maybe a hate watcher? No, they say it because they're bored and they think it's a funny troll. They don't realize that there's already a bunch of people out there that are actively trying to claim that this is like another fan of mine. Okay? And what's crazy about that, can you explain the Christchurch connection? I don't get it. Yes, the shooter venerated every single prominent neo-Nazi white supremacist terrorist around the globe. He did so by writing their names and hearts and things like that on their gear. Okay? He idolized these shooters. This is very common in the Order of Nine Angles style, hyper edgy, esoteric, nihilist, fascist, white supremacist groups that these guys participate in. It's classic. The shooter also talked about Brandon Herrera and how much he liked Brandon Herrera. Brandon Herrera, for those of you who don't know, is also known as the AK guy, who is a far-right, also fairly racist. The point is so commonplace that these mass shootings take place. It's so common that people immediately run to turn this into their favorite subject. Okay, they love being like, well, this person was responsible for it. My least favorite content creator online is actually responsible for it. It's the dumbest. Anyway, Bonchi says, so the shooter was trans, hated Trump, and hated Israel. Going to be really hard to spin this into he had no actual ideology. The shooter also praised Anders Breivik and Brendan Tarrant, anti-Muslim mass shooters, commemorated murdered wife of white separatist Randy Weaver and Timothy McVeigh. I'm not going to say the word, cited Waco. They need to instantly impose a clear ideology on mentally ill killers. The need to impose a clear ideology on mentally ill killers is stupid. There is, however, one through line that remains in a sea of indecipherable politics here. And I've already identified it, and I'm telling you, this is how these guys operate. They throw out a bunch of different things in the process. You can be a far-right neo-Nazi and hate Donald Trump. You can be a far-right neo-Nazi and hate Israel for obvious, for anti-Semitic reasons, right? Many of these guys also hate Jews, yes, and they hate Israel. This platform is filled with countless pundit and influencer types trying hard to claim the shooter was motivated by whatever ideology or group they most hate. It was anti-Zionism. It was leftism. It was a far-right racism. Many, perhaps most mass shooters are principally ill. Okay, I don't agree with that either. I mean, I agree. See, also, you can turn the shooter into whatever you want if you try hard enough. Now that the shooter has been identified as a white male who was radicalized in part by previous white nationalist racist shooters who promoted anti-Semitic conspiracies that MAGA and GOP promote, I expect him to fall out of the news cycle like Vance Belter. Remember him. The killer heaped praise on two of the most notorious anti-Muslim mass murderers, Anders Breivik and Brendan Tarrant, but the real motive was Islam and love of Muslims, says Laura Loomer. The Minnesota shooter lives in one of the most Muslim cities in America with a Muslim congresswoman and had Islamic words and anti-Israel pro-Holocaust phrases written on the guns and magazines. Part of the reason why they dump all of these different indecipherable symbols into their gear, they write all this is because they will get more traction in the media. Islamic words, by the way. What's the Islamic word? The police should stop investigating to find the motive of the school shooter and just log on to X, where plenty of people already know what the motive is. They'd save a lot of time and effort, though. There are roughly 30 different political motives motives definitively offered. Yeah, and this guy goes, and yet they chose Pinochet's helicopter tours. I wonder what this person's worldview is. Pinochet's helicopter tours. Dog, you are closer to this shooter in your worldview than anyone else. And yeah, of course, it's the school that the killer attended. Bade Roof Korean. I don't get that reference. What do you mean? It literally has the name Pinochet in it. He's not even saying helicopter tours. He's saying Pinochet's helicopter tours. Pinochet used to throw socialists and leftists, his military dictatorship used to throw socialists and leftists out of helicopters. That was their famous method of assassination. Roof Korean is a racist dog whistle that harkens back to the LA Rodney King riots that took place. Korean store owners went to their rooftops with weapons to try and defend their stores out of fears that black people were going to come in and riot and steal shit. Except the only person that they ended up killing was another Korean guy in the process. It's not even like a super common thing that took place. There was a couple photos of like one of the people and yeah, these guys are just, it's a reference to both a systematized form of fascist violence with Pinochet's helicopter tours, again, anti-socialist, anti-communist violence, and then a reference to decentralized people's militia movements in the form of the rooftop Korean, yeah, targeting black people specifically, hypothetically, even though they literally killed Korean. I think 1 or 2 Koreans was the only people that they ended up shooting and killing in the process. They shot 2, 1 died. Okay. It continues to blow my mind that you know all this. Why? I'm a marabou. So the notion that this is something that happens. This is something that happens all the time, right? It's not a secret, I think, at this point, that the far right is far more violent than the far left ever could be. People will point to like, you know, Black Lives Matter protests and whatnot, and like broken down storefronts or whatever, to say, that's not the case. Look at the BLM riots. They're all so scary or whatever the fuck. But like, there is no directional violence in the form of mass shootings and school shootings that are conducted by far left elements in this country. Okay? It's just not even close. That's not even a comparison. There's no comparison whatsoever. The overwhelming majority of domestic terror incidents that have taken place on U.S. soil post 9/11 have overwhelmingly come from far-right, anti-government radicals, okay? Many of them are white nationalists. Many of them are white supremacists. But the broadest categorization is far-right anti-government extremism. That's the FBI's designation, okay? Even if there are dudes who are Latino, this has also happened. They are still Nazis. Even if they are white women, they're still Nazis. There's a black white supremacist school shooting that took place recently, okay? Straight up. Is not even a question. Like, people think, oh, well, this person is black, so it's obviously an extreme leftist incident. And then you look at their writing and it's like literally a dude saying like black people are the N-word and should all die. So the driving motivator is always white nationalism and white supremacy. Is not even a question. But what's actually crazy about it, in spite of that well-sourced, factually based reality that I am telling you, every single time there is another white nationalist neo-Nazi terrorism incident on U.S. soil, the white nationalist neo-Nazis go online and try to say, this is not one of us, that's a trans person. This is not one of us, that's a woke. Did they have a blue hair? That's a woke. Did they shoot Donald Trump? That's a woke. These guys are so violent, they even unload on their own preferred presidential candidate at times, okay? It's not my fault. That's a you problem, You got to deal with that. Even in like incidents such as David DePipe, the person, the far right psycho that went into Nancy Pelosi's home to try and kidnap Nancy Pelosi and kill Nancy Pelosi, we very quickly found out that his motives were because he was a Gamergate victim, which is so pathetic. This guy became far right because of Gamergate, okay? And as soon as his motives were known, or even before his motives were known, people, including Elon Musk, tried to say, nah, he's a gay homosexual lover of Paul Pelosi. He's not one of ours. He's a leftist. He's a woke. He wokely tried to kill Nancy Pelosi. It's like, bro, you're in the forums with these guys. You look exactly like these guys. You see the world from the same exact destroyed lens as these guys. You're probably egging some of these guys on to go and commit the acts of domestic terror. And then when they finally do it, you turn around and go, not me. I can see your profile name. It says like Groiper Himmler pedophile 1488. It's you. You're the next one. The do you mean this guy is a woke? You were in the chat rooms with this and now you're acting like he's a leftist. What are you talking about? And if you have a level of shame in your heart for like this kind of traumatic incident unfolding, then you should maybe reflect on your behavior online before you start immediately claiming that this person is a woke or a radical leftist or some shit. And ultimately, all of this is still a distraction away from the real point of contention, the real problem here, which is impossible to solve because we love the thing that people use to commit these atrocities, guns, okay? That's it. It's the common denominator. And because we're never going to get gun control and people are tired of trying to demand gun control, okay, people just like look for alternative reasons. Some don't even look for alternative reasons nowadays. They just immediately go, oh, the shooter's trans. Doesn't matter if the shooter is actually trans or not. Every single one of them is trans automatically. I thought maybe the attention would shift away from trans people back to Muslims like it used to in the good old days post 9/11. But nope, still trans. Maybe they're trans Muslims now. You know, put it together. Combine the two. Next time, it's not just trans, it's a trans Muslim who hated Israel. Jesus Christ. It's so crazy.
At school and at church.
Yeah, Robin on July 29th was posting on Farms. I can't believe that's what it's called. Jesus Christ. That they were looking for music suggestions to shoot up a church. They got suggestions and also folks egged Robin on. These people come from the darkest corners of the internet. Yes. Skibbity Farms is like Kiwi Farms. It's a lolcow website. Remember, there are too many normies in here that don't know what this is, but there's this thing on the internet called lolcowing, okay? These guys love going to forums and finding oftentimes trans targets that are very vulnerable, that come from marginalized backgrounds, that have like mental health complications, and they dox them, and then they turn them into lolcows. Like they try to puppeteer their lives. It's a very dark process, except, oh, that was debunked. That account is still posting today. Well, anyway, the process of lolcowing is still a very real concept, and it's very similar to the Order of Nine Angles, which is most likely where the shooter came from. I'm Gen Z and don't know half the words you're saying. This wasn't the shooter's account. This is why I wait to put stuff out. I'll respond in full tomorrow. Also, I am not going to shoot up a church. I'm not the Minneapolis shooter. He's a T-word who is dead, and I'm a dude who is in bed with your mom. Skibbity Farms, I think, is just like another one of those lolcow forums out there where a lot of these like edgy neo-Nazis frequent, okay? It's a doxing forum, okay? It's a forum that is created with the express purpose of doxing and manipulating the lives of some of the most marginalized people and also content creators as well. Like some of the more common lolcows are people like Darkside Phil and what is it, Wings of Redemption, Boogie 1488, whatever. Those guys are more popular versions of that are like even normies are aware of, even if they don't know what that is, like what lolcowing is. Chris Chan is another one. That's a very famous one. And basically the goal there is to actively try to ruin the lives of these people that they target and make their life a living hell, just unbearable. And they try to do that by doxing them, calling, pizza deliveries to their homes, and then slowly but surely doing even more and more insane shit. It's basically like serialized gang stalking for content purposes. Now, but why? What does one achieve with that? A sense of community, a sense of shared purpose, a sense of making someone else's lives as miserable as their lives are in any given moment. In most circumstances, the people that are participating in this shit have the exact same kind of mental illness as the victims. They hate themselves, and this, I think, like reasserts a sense of control over their own lives by ruining another person's life. It's just like pure sadism, and some people enjoy it from afar because these people are fascinating, I guess, and other people actually actively tap the glass, as I like to call it, and that's like even less healthy than the already unhealthy fascination that people have with these figures. And I think that it's become even more commonplace, especially with like TikTok. The version of this on TikTok is what's that kid, the World of Shirts or whatever. Like that's a real life TikTok example of that, where people are egging these people on through live streams and egging these people on in any way, shape, or form to actively push them further and further into the depths of depravity. And with like Kiwi Farms, for example, one of their goals is to like actively get trans people to kill themselves, right? So they have like a scoreboard of trans people that they've been able to successfully cause the suicide of. Another recent version of this was what happened with Kick. If you remember, the French Kick streamers, they were participating in this process directly. It's a horrifying thing that has become more normalized as the internet has gotten worse and worse. So literally the worst lore iceberg ever. I mean, what do you want me to do? It's just a thing that happens online. It's really up. And it used to happen less frequently, but now it's unfolding in real time, in broad daylight. It's like normies are engaging in it without realizing that they're engaging in it. But the reason why I'm bringing up all of this is because there's an even darker side to this, which is what the Order of Nine Angles is, where a lot of these people who are like deeply mentally ill that find themselves in the throes of radicalization, far-right radicalization, that desperately seek out even more edgy, more radical forms of self-actualization through, neo-Nazi sentiment and the like, find themselves in these groups called terrorgram groups. They're Telegram, which is a social media platform that's operated by some Russian dude and is, as far as I know, I think, or until recently was not, didn't have any backdoors into intelligence communities in the West. They have Lamau passing blame. What do you mean? So the victims hated their life? The victims? I'm not talking about the victim. I'm talking about the perpetrator of this act of terror. I think you might be too stupid to understand the English language. Like I'm very clearly communicating what is. The victims are little kids. I'm talking about the mass shooter and how this mass shooter found themselves in this in the throes of radicalization. Why is this Asmongold acolyte? Anyway, I think you misspoke and said hate their lives as much as the victims. Oh, when I was talking about lolcowing, yes, the victims in that situation do hate their lives. Yes, they do. Yeah. And they actually identify suicidal tendencies deliberately and push into it. They lean into it to try to egg them on, to drive them to the point of suicide. Yes. But this other thing that I'm talking about is different. And it's an even more depraved version of this, but structurally it works in the same way. You find like people that are just deeply mentally ill, deeply resentful, deeply angry, and they frequent these like Telegram channels, broadly known as Terrorgram. And the goal there is not dissimilar to the goal that lolcow enjoyers engage in. But in this circumstance, The goal there is to egg on one another to commit an act of terror. Okay? That's it. So these people are like, ooh, we're so edgy, we're being nihilistic. But the goal there is to get people that are in these Telegram groups to go out. They offer reverence and great respect to former white nationalists, white supremacist terrorists, and their ultimate goal is to become a revered figure such as those that came before them. And they actively egg people on. And this is yet another shooter that came out of one of these groups.
I won't dignify the shooter's words by repeating them. They are horrific and vile. But in short, the shooter wanted to watch children suffer. Yesterday was a tragedy for the city and our state. My heart goes out to the entire Annunciation community. Their loss is unimaginable. I want the state of Minnesota to know that when a tragedy like this occurs, we all stand together. Federal, state, and local law enforcement work together side by side. The FBI, the ATF, the BCA, Minneapolis Police Department, the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, the Hennepin County Attorney's Office, including their victim advocates who have been working with the families yesterday and today. The list goes on. This has been a tough summer for Minnesota, but I take heart knowing that we all stand together in confronting this evil. Thank you. I'll turn it back to Chief O'Hara.
New details come out about the moments inside the church.
Yes.
About the doors being locked, how that might have protected some kids. Could you talk to us about that?
So the question was about the doors being locked at the church. Annunciation Church had a practice that once Mass began, they locked the doors of the church. This incident occurred shortly after the Mass was beginning. So there's no question the fact that the doors were locked likely saved additional lives. At the same time, we also know that the shooter intended to barricade and did barricade the doors on the same side of the church where the shooting occurred. So what's particularly heinous and cowardly about this is these children were slaughtered by a shooter who could not see them. He was standing outside of the building, firing through very narrow church windows on the level where they would line up with the pews. And even ultimately, when he got to the rear of the church, was an entryway that's basically all glass, and fired out the window where a person could walk in, ultimately did not walk.
It's crazy. What about door control is unironically a thing that we used to make fun of, and now it's like the first question, and it's a given, and then the answer is no, there was door control, don't worry. Well, it seems to me that even door control is ineffective. Maybe we should control another element that is at the heart of every single one of these incidents.
Before the shooting? I did not say that. So the question was, did the shooter attend Mass in the weeks before? We know that previously the shooter had attended that parish and had attended that school.
Is there anything, any evidence that this person was radicalized or part of some online groups or anything like that that would have inspired this behavior?
Yeah. So the question was if the individual was radicalized, I guess, for a specific cause or a part of some online groups. And the answer is no, we have not found evidence of that, other than, again, just this fascination in general with many, many different previous mass shootings, mainly in this country, but also some from around the world.
So many stories are now emerging of the panicked moments inside that church, and also the bravery of everyone who is inside that church as well. We're joined now by 13-year-old Javen Willis. He's an 8th grader at Annunciation. He's with us along with his mother, Melissa. Javen, let me start with you. I know you've been at Annunciation for a number of years now. You're in Mass yesterday with your buddy, and all of a sudden you hear those shots ring out. What did you do then, Javen?
Well, right when I heard the shots, I knew something was off. I didn't think that they would have, a lot of my classmates thought it was confetti and fireworks, but I didn't think they would have that during the middle of the church service. So honestly, it was just, at that point, I was like, I want to try to keep everybody as safe as possible. So I told me and my 2 buddies to get down and to get under the pew. And right when I told them that, it was like a state of shock for me, and I knew that I had to try to keep as many people around me as I could safe.
While you're down there on the floor, keeping yourself safe, keeping your buddies safe, what was What was going through your mind?
Well, right when it happened, I dropped down under the pew, like I said, and I prayed. I said my few prayers, and then I realized, like, I can't just sit here and focus on myself, knowing that with God on my side, I would be fine. So I tried to just go and help out my fellow classmates, try to keep them calm and safe, and let them know that they'll be okay.
You're a young man of great faith. I understand that you were just baptized last week. Mom, I want to turn to you for a second, because as I understand it, you're on this, like a lot of moms, you're on this text thread with moms. You're at work. You start to hear about what's going on there at the church. You spring into action. You get to the gym. What did you see when you got there? What was that experience like for you?
I mean, it was terrifying. You just never think that this is going to be your reality. There was quite a large perimeter set up, so I just parked as soon as I got within a couple of blocks of the school. And by the time I got there, they were already starting to let parents into the gym to look for our kids. So I didn't have to wait, thankfully. But yeah, they were ushering us all in and down to the gym where the kids were all at to find our kids.
And you saw your boy there, and you were able to put your arms around him for the first time. What'd you say?
Yeah, I just cried. I just thanked God and cried and held him. And, you know, just thankfully I was one of the ones who did get to see my kid when I got there.
Thank you. You've got a special young man there, too, by the way. Javen, I heard as you were leaving the church, you were fist bumping the officers and thanking them on the way out.
Yeah, it just, I didn't want to just sit there and think about it, so I just thanked the officers, because without them, who knows how much worse this could have been. It was bad in general, but it could have been way worse than that if they didn't.
Bro, we're officially getting dumber in society. Every outlet is like looking to interview the kids. They're like, yeah, this kid loves cops. Like, it's just like, what is, oh my Lord, dude. What the it's just like, people just like come in and ask like feedback from 12-year-olds that just experienced a mass shooting. Like, this concept is so busted to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like the friend who's too woke, but I truly don't understand that. But I guess, you know, dystopia time. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah, thank you for being brave, little one, for withstanding a mass shooting. Like, that's crazy. Like, nowhere on the planet should a 13-year-old feel unsafe like this. Of course, this is the reason why I keep repeating over and over again that, like, a society that does this to its own children and refuses to find solutions to stop this from happening to its own children is not going to give a about kids in Gaza, okay? That's it. That's it. And it's not just like, it's white children too, which is the highest form of child in the eyes of a white supremacist society. We let little white babies get killed. So of course, nobody gives a shit about what's going on in Gaza. It's like a sacrifice that we must make, because the weapons manufacturing, the small arms manufacturing industry has to, you know, keep turning profit year over year. Come on. That's it.
Heard Jonah Kaplan talking there with Anders Holine, a father. He also caught up with Holine's 9-year-old daughter, June, who was inside the church when the shooting happened. And Jonah is here now with us. Jonah, good morning to you.
Maurice, it's so tough to kind of just comprehend what happened. Well, children, so many survivors, nearly 400 were inside the church. That included June in 4th grade, her younger sister who just started 1st grade, sitting in the back of the church with their classmates, with their teachers. And when they heard that gunfire, of course, everything changed in that mass. We asked them what happened at that moment that they knew something was wrong.
I heard the noise and I kind of got scared at first. It was like a big firework that was like super duper duper like close. Like if like somebody did a firework that didn't launch off like in your ear, that's kind of how loud.
What were you most scared?
I was scared about if I would get hurt. I was worried about like everybody getting like hurt and injured.
So you heard it. Someone grabbed you?
My teacher just jumped on the floor, and she kind of like motioned like for me to get down. And so then me and my buddy just followed her, and then she kind of grabbed my hand a little bit.
What was it like with your buddy holding your hand like that? How did that make you feel?
A little bit safer.
Did it feel like she was kind of watching out for you?
Yeah.
Okay, and you run to the Starbucks.
Yeah. They were letting us like try and call our parents and stuff.
Okay, there's got to be more.
Well, this morning we're also learning more about the people impacted by this horrific.
Okay.
Reagan. Thanks, Carolyn. I have two questions for you. Sure. Democrats, including former White House Press Secretary Jen.
I'm trying to think of any benefit to this, and all I can think of is maybe this resensitizes people to school shootings, but like, why the f people need to be resensitized to kids dying? No, I don't think this does anything. I don't think people think about like the humanity of the victims. I think it's just like a pure fascination, I guess. I don't know. I don't see what the newsworthiness of that is. We are the only country that thinks this is cool, by the way. I know. That's true. We're the only nation on the planet where this happens with regular frequency, and we just keep going, I don't know how to fix it. We know how to fix it. Nobody wants to fix it. It's just not happening.
And Psaki and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Bray attacked prayer and pushed gun control in the aftermath of yesterday's shooting. What's the White House's response to their comments?
Yes, I saw the comments of my predecessor, Ms. Psaki, and frankly, I think they're incredibly insensitive and disrespectful to the tens of millions of Americans of faith across this country who believe in the power of prayer, who believe that prayer works, and who believe that.
Oh my God. Oh my God, brother. Oh my God, dude. How dare you? How dare you speak out against the power of prayer? It's the only thing we got against the stopping school shootings.
What's the White House's response to their comments?
That's what it is, yeah.
Secretary Jen Psaki and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Bray attacked prayer and pushed gun control.
Attacked prayer and pushed gun control. I hate this place, dude. We are so stuck. They said thoughts and prayers clearly don't work. This was a shooting at a church during the process of prayer. Okay? They're not even being like r/edgy atheists. Okay? They're simply saying a fact. They're saying that we need solutions, and thoughts and prayers is being cynically deployed as a mechanism to not find solutions. And now they've decided that this is the new culture war that culture warriors will fight on, which is, well, how dare you come after Christian prayers? Just say you don't think mythology is real? Oh, you're so disrespectful. No, it's not even that. This isn't even about like a acknowledgement of Christianity or prayer, dude. What the They are cynically reframing it as such in an effort to hyper focus on another perceived victimhood narrative. No, it's bait. He's agreeing with me and he's making a joke. But I'm not even saying like Christianity or some shit. Neither are those people. Okay, I know that person was just like joking around. This is what Jen Psaki tweeted. Prayers not freaking enough. Prayers does not end school shootings. Prayers do not make parents feel safe sending their kids to school. Prayer does not bring these kids back. Enough with the thoughts and prayers. I hate these demonic entities too, because none of them give a about God or Christianity, and they just simply wear it like a defense mechanism. Okay, like, yeah, Jen Psaki sucks or whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. She's not wrong. It's literally correct. Thoughts and prayers is most commonly deployed in the aftermath of these things. And there's a reason why people immediately joke about, oh, thoughts and prayers, because they just deploy it as a way to push the conversation back, to push the actual conversation that needs to be had, which is gun control. Okay? They don't want real solutions to this, so they just go, oh, thoughts and prayers. Now they've decided to attack people saying we need real solutions, not thoughts and prayers, by cynically claiming that cynically making it seem as though these are like people demonstrating anti-Christian sentiment. It's another evasion mechanism. It's another way to deflect the attention away from a productive solution, even productive discourse. Okay? We pray because our hearts are broken. We pray because we know God listens. We pray because we know God works in mysterious ways and can inspire us to further action. Why do you feel the need to attack people praying for their kids when kids were just killed praying? Well, that's kind of the point, don't you think? That's kind of the point. Like, kids were killed while they were literally in the process of praying. We should do everything in our power to make sure that that doesn't happen. You know? Of all the weird left-wing culture wars in the last few years, this is by far the most bizarre. How dare you pray for innocent people in the midst of tragedy? What are you even talking about? He knows exactly what people are talking about. He has to posture like he's too stupid to understand. I don't think JD Vance gives a single about Christianity or God or prayers, by the way. Okay? Suck my dick. I really hate to be all Reddit atheist, but like, if you're a religious person, what message are you supposed to take away from a mass shooting happening in a place of worship that your God willed it to happen? Either you heard God prayers and hates you, or you didn't hear, which means your prayers do nothing. I mean, yeah, it's just so stupid. It's so stupid. They should be like, oh, well, how dare you? How dare you attack thoughts and prayers? No, dumbass. They're not attacking the concept or the function of prayer. They're saying that clearly prayer doesn't fucking work. We need actual solutions, because you dumb fucks cynically deploy thoughts and prayers as a way to push the conversation back until people forget about it.
Ms. Psaki, and frankly, I think they're incredibly insensitive and disrespectful.
I can't wait for the 700 different, like, slop tuber oriented videos that come out of, like, they hate God. They hate God. The left attacks God, gets owned in the marketplace of ideas. Oh, God. It's just deflection. The more you have a conversation around, like, whether the left hates God or not, the further you move away from finding a productive solution to this problem.
Respectful to the tens of millions of Americans of faith across this country who believe in the power of prayer, who believe that prayer works, and who believe that in a time of mourning like this, when beautiful young children were killed while praying in a church, it's utterly disrespectful to deride the power of prayer in this country, and it's disrespectful to the millions of Americans of faith. And I would encourage Ms. Psaki to pray for these families themselves, who need it right now more than ever.
A couple questions on the shooting yesterday. The first one, this is the second shooting involving a trans-identifying shooter who specifically targeted Christians and Catholic kids. What kind of consequences do the gender-affirming therapists, doctors, or even the parents of these shooters face after these types of shootings?
Well, as for the parents and potential therapists in this case, again, all of that is still currently being investigated by the FBI. I know the Secretary of Health and Human Services this morning said that HHS is investigating perhaps links between some of these drugs and these prescription drugs that some of these minors may be taking, and an increase in violence. And obviously, we have mental health problems in this country that this administration and Secretary Kennedy will continue to speak out about, and the work that we're doing to solve it.
Thank you. And just to follow up, I've seen a lot of calls for action, among these lawmakers saying that we shouldn't just be praying. One that I've seen on the right, actually, is calls for the FBI to institute a new class of domestic terrorism that involves trans ideology. Is that something that the administration...
Kennedy renews attack on antidepressants after church shooting. That's awesome. Every new school shooting is a new opportunity for people in positions of power, by the way, to tackle whatever gripes that they personally have. Okay? Awesome. Seriously. RFK's like, oh, it's the antidepressants. We're going to make them illegal. JD Vance is talking about how, the left hates prayer or some shit. There are people online that are, Kash Patel and other people online are like, oh, this is because of trans people. We should lock up every trans person. Incredible stuff.
Would support. I would have to check with the appropriate people on that.
We do have other news this morning, including a mass.
Yeah, meanwhile, the CDC is on fire. CDC Director Susan Menares ousted less than 1 month after being confirmed by Senate.
Massive shakeup at the Centers for Disease Control. Now, the White House says it's fired CDC Director Susan Menares barely 1 month after she took over. Her lawyers say she, quote, refused to rubber stamp unscientific, reckless directives and fire dedicated public health experts. Other top CDC officials have resigned. So let's bring in CBS News medical contributor Dr. Celine Gounder, editor-at-large for public health at KFF Health News. Celine, good morning. I want to start with the status of the director, Susan Menares, as well as these other resignations. What can you tell us?
what do they think is going to happen if they cut access to like antidepressants? Like these guys say mental health is like the primary thing here, the primary reason why these sorts of like incidents take place. And then they're like, and we want to make sure that people who, the limited number of people who do have access to this medication no longer have access to it. What the f do you think is going to happen after that? Like what are we talking about? I guess fuck it, purge time. I don't know. It's just, I mean, it is eugenics for sure. Like it's just, if you are in any way, shape, or form like suicidal, depressive, and you are medicating, and that's like allowing you to be a functioning member of society, then, you know, we're going to shut that off for you too. This is something that every Turkish person, every Russian person, like every person who lives under like the oppressive thumb of any kind of authoritarian rulership, this is a feeling that people know very well. This is a feeling that I experienced my whole life growing up, where you're like, I hope there is some kind of divine intervention here. It never happens, okay? That's all I'm going to say. Evil never dies. It never actually ends up happening. All of your wishes inevitably give these guys more life, I feel like. I mean, look at Dick Cheney. He's still alive and kicking, you know? Wait, is it live? Is it live? Is it live? Is it live? It's not live, bro. Why are y'all lying to me? It's not live. Where is he? Where's the announcement? Someone send me a link that works. Announcement bingo. Okay, there it is. Where is it? Are you guys baiting me? Are you guys baiting me? Are you baiting me? Are you baiting me? Is he actually live? Or is he dead? I loved Sanctuary on Netflix. That guy, for the record, that guy that I'm training with in that video that we just watched, he actually was one of the professional trainers on Sanctuary on Netflix. Yeah, it's not live yet. Y'all are such liars, bro. Oh my God. Oh my God. Why do you do this to me? Why do you do this to me? I started early today because I was waiting for this, okay? And I know it's going to be some random shit, but you know, this is a brief moment of hope and a brief moment of solace for everybody in this goddamn country. Ironically enough, just as is the case with everything else, of course, this would yield tremendous pain and would be far worse, okay? This would yield tremendous pain. It would be far worse for the country overall, because even this one blip of goodness that many people are demanding, many people are desperately holding on to, make no mistake, would yield a full-blown Peter Thiel takeover. What do I mean by this? JD Vance is Peter Thiel's blood boy, okay? JD Vance is Peter Thiel's slave, okay? And JD Vance is not exactly a telegenic figure. He is not going to be able to, in my opinion, and perhaps I might be wrong on this, he is not going to be able to captivate the attention of the large swaths of the populist MAGA base in the same way that Donald Trump was able to command them. This means that the only opportunity for JD Vance, and by way of JD Vance, Peter Thiel, to actually directly take over the levers of power is if Donald Trump passes away, because he will not win a popular contest unless the Democrats f the bag up once again, and they just might. You already know how the Democrats behave. So because of that reason, even though this is like something that we are all excited for, something that we're all waiting with bated breath, ironically enough, as is the case with every other damn thing in this goddamn country, Donald Trump's untimely demise, while expected and would cause jubilation, would still allow for worse things to come. Trump's voice with Scott Jennings.
I'm very disappointed in him.
Trump's voice in his interview with Scott Jennings this morning, something's not right. No, he sounds like that on the morning calls all the time.
And I always had a great relationship. I'm very disappointed. Thousands of people are dying. They're not Americans that are dying, but they're Russians and they're Ukrainians, and there's thousands, and it's a war that makes no sense. And it would have never started if I were president, and that's what bothers me even more, because the election was totally rigged, and it's a shame. We'll see what happens, but I'm very disappointed in President Putin.
This is Donald Trump's IG voice, dude. You know how like I have an IG voice in the mornings and everybody always makes fun of me for it because like I sound groggy, but also I guess I sound sexy. That's what Trump's IG voice sounds like. That's what Trump's IG voice looks like. That's just what it is.
I can say that.
Yeah, C-SPAN is saying it got pushed to 2:30. Now, remember, he's not dead. Couple things I have to relitigate here. While I am memeing about Donald Trump's, demise here, I hate to be the bearer of bad news for many Americans here that are tuning in tuning in with the excitement. But he is not dead. Okay, he's not, and he's most likely going to be, announcing some lame ass bullshit. Ken Leakenstein claimed that it was actually the Space Force headquarters, like moving to Alabama or some shit like that. But having said that, we can still derive a lot of satisfaction by picking apart every little thing that he's doing in this announcement. Live, Trump announces Space Command is moving from Colorado to Alabama. So that's what it is. Oh my God, 40,000 people are waiting. Dude, I'm telling you, mad people are dude, this is like, it's gotta hurt. Trump is clued in on everything that's going on in the social media sphere. That's gotta be crazy that this wasn't live for like 7 days. And basically everyone's like, oh, he's dead. And they're celebrating and they're excited at the prospect of his demise. That is crazy, bro. Look at this chat. Look at this chat. Look at the AP chat. 6-7, he died. Why is everybody spamming 6-7 now? 6-7. Release the Epstein files. 2 weeks, clots and prayers. I hope RFK Jr. is in charge of the health maintenance of the orange clown. Oh, that's awesome. He delayed it to get higher ratings. I'm telling you right now, it's gotta hurt him at least a little bit that this many people are excited. This many people are this excited at like even just a crumb of hope that he might be dead is crazy. He's literally just trying to take views away from Mafiathon 3. True. He delayed it to get high. Is there really anything Thiel could get Vance to do that couldn't already get Trump to do anyways? Yes, absolutely. I think Peter Thiel is even scarier in a position of that much power than even Donald Trump. Like Peter Thiel, it's hard to explain it because like Trump is such a major villain, right? He is such a massive villain. And I totally get that. I understand why people are, they pay close attention to what he's doing. He's the president and he is a horrible monster. Peter Thiel is even a level above that. Peter Thiel is like literal Satan incarnate. I don't know how to describe it beyond the fact that he looked at his own, he looked at his own career and he was like, oh, I'm going to watch Lord of the Rings. What am I going to name my mass surveillance apparatus off of? The villain in Lord of the Rings. He drinks the blood of children. He literally has blood boys. Like, that's not even a joke. Tread lightly talking about Thiel. To be honest, that shit freaks me out. Yeah. Like, when we say billionaires are lizard people, at least like Mark Cuban tries to make a decent effort to come across like a human being, right? Everyone has their quirks, like, oh, Warren Buffett still lives in his old home, like from when he was a child, and still drives the same Subaru or whatever, which is like freakish in my opinion, because like you're a massive billionaire, multi-billionaire. What the f do you have that much? Why do you do that level of wealth accumulation if you're not even going to use it, dumbass, right? But like they try to behave like humans in some ways. Peter Thiel cannot. He cannot. There is no world where Peter Thiel goes in front of a camera and doesn't come across like a lizard person wearing a human skin suit. It's just crazy. Just a straightforward tech dystopia harbinger who is terrifying. Even more terrifying than Trump. Because like he also has like Trump is an insane narcissist and the type that will basically use like pre-existing white supremacist constructs to his advantage to hold on to the levers of power, right? But Peter Thiel is like a true believer. Like he is committed to the idea of a techno-feudalist dystopia. and he will do it. He will do everything in his power to do it. Like that's guys who are real believers are the ones you have to be actually worried by, if that makes sense. I guess at that level of like villain behavior, it doesn't really matter that much, because like either Peter Thiel, by way of Donald Trump, is still going to be holding on to the levers of power, or he's going to do it directly. But it's just terrifying, man. I mean, look.
I suffered through Ross Douthat's interview with Peter Thiel because I'm a sick person. And
I mean, look, this is a great first look into how Peter Thiel operates. Now, this is, of course, the Bulwark. This is, it's just, I don't really care about what he has to say, but here, let's just watch.
Because I'm a sick person. And there's one clip that's been going around, and in case you guys haven't had this, just the experience of being able to listen to this moment, I want to share it with all of you.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit in this.
Should the human race survive?
Yeah.
Like, that's a demon right there, too. Like, that's a straightforward war criminal, right? That's Bill Kristol. He owns the Bulwark. And, like, to get a better understanding of, like, how psychotic Peter Thiel is, like, that's the type of shit that, like, other former neocon war criminals look at and go, this guy is a real scary guy. And he's not saying that because, he's not saying that to present himself as woke or whatever. He's just saying that because that's how scary Peter Thiel is.
Some really hard-hitting journalism from Ross Douthat there. Ross gets some slings and arrows around these parts, but he's asking the tough questions. Do you want the human race to endure? Peter Thiel. It seems like basically the answer is no, but he doesn't want to say it. So he comes around to yes after 30 seconds. This is the man that made it, that set the vice president in place.
From the GOAT, Nathan J. Robinson. What is this? Peter Thiel presenting an autobiographical lecture series. You are warmly invited to a series of 4 lectures by Peter Thiel addressing the topic of the biblical Antichrist. Yeah, he's just going to sit there and talk about himself. I am the biblical Antichrist. Hello, welcome. I want to bring about the demise of the planet. Like, Peter Thiel is the type of when you watch like an anime or when you watch like a movie and you're like, this villain's entire ambition is to destroy the world and it doesn't make any sense. Like, this is like this is a written out villain that clearly has no like understandable, decipherable human motivation here. It's just like, oh, you want to be evil for the sake of evil? Peter Thiel is the closest analog to that in the real world. Like, the type of villain that you say is unrealistic and just like simply wants to destroy the entire planet for the sake of destruction alone is something that you would look at in a comic book and go, this is kind of stupid. Like, what is the motivation here, right? Like, there needs to be something more here. Peter Thiel is the guy who, unironically, is the real world example of that. It's pretty shitty. It's pretty terrifying. Yeah. He's live, is he? It's 11:15. He's supposed to be live at 11:30. They pushed it back 30 minutes. Alex Skarp as the new VP pick when Vance takes over. Alex Skarp is another one of those like tech dildos that I just despise. God, I have so much hatred in my heart for these guys. They're so goddamn annoying. They are so unbearable. Speaking of which, by the way, sometimes the administration that absolutely sucks can get something good. Okay? It turns out digital content creators are among the dozens of occupations that the Treasury Department is deemed eligible for the no tax on tip deduction. They explicitly name streamers, influencers, and podcasters as illustrative examples. Produce and publish on digital. Dude, Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill, no tax on tips provision, straight up is a tax cut for some of the biggest dildos in American society. People like myself. What the are we doing here? What are we doing? This is insane. It's actually insane, dude. It's actually insane. View count high. Are you botted? Yes. I'm botting myself. Or because this is a day of celebration because people think Donald Trump might have died. Who knows? I mean, if you look at the number of chatters in here, you will realize that there is 40,000 active chatters in here. So probably not. There is a limit and it helps small streamers more. Don't try to justify any of this, okay? Don't try to justify any of this shit. Bro heard Andrew Schultz was upset and gave him a tax cut. Yeah. Keep the tinfoil hat on. Is he tinfoil hat on? Is he dead? Is that why he's pushing it back? No. He's just always late. Open presents. Thank you for the 25 gifted. Let's go. Does JD Vance know who you are? I hope not. Anyway, this would be funny. Why is your viewership high? Not gonna lie, yesterday's it was 28K to 35K, now it's 45K. Guys, do you not understand that when world-changing events are happening, people tune in? Like a lot more people tune in. Is this news to you? It's like coming in on the day of the election and being like, why is there 300,000 people in here? Are they bots? No, it's because people are tapped in. They think, they want to know if Trump is sick. Okay, that's it. There are 50,000 people waiting in the Associated Press lobby here, okay? 51,000 people are watching the Associated Press with the hopes that they will see, with the hopes that they'll get a glimpse of whether or not Donald Trump is actually stroked out, okay? It's a pretty big deal for a lot of people, it seems. Part of the reason why I started earlier today, because it's a big deal for me too. I want to see it. I want to join in on the fun. I want to entertain the blue anon, blue MAGA shit for a brief moment, okay? I want to have fun. Austin show. I'm tapped in. I don't usually watch. Shut up, Austin. Don't act like it. Had all my coworkers watching on January 6th. This is like you're more excited to this than eating pastries? Yeah, because I'm lame, okay? Sometimes I don't want to give more views to fashion, so I tune into your stream because I know you'll be watching. Yeah. He went to heaven yet? I don't know how to tell you this, but if Donald Trump is going somewhere, it is certainly not heaven, okay? Let me tell you, I don't think if heaven and hell is real, I don't think Donald Trump is going to the good one, okay? He is definitely not going to the good one. Yeah. He's going to like the lowest layer. If he's going to the bad one, he's definitely going to the bad one, and he's going to the lowest layer that you can go to. Yeah, he's gonna be down there with all of his besties like Jeffrey Epstein. Your breakdown of these as they happen are also why people tune in. Yes, unless he has said the Shahada and found the light of Allah at the end of the tunnel, and he will be going to Jannah. But I don't think he did. I don't think he could get it out of his mouth. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. وَأَشْهَدُ أَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ. That's right. May Allah awaken the people to the evil doings of Israel and the United States of America. Does anyone have that clip? Here, let's just play it again. It's my best. It's the best. It's the best. It's the best. This is Trump's best moment.
May Allah awaken the people and help them to see the evil doings of Israel and the United States. May Allah awaken
the richest 1% account for more than 1/3 of all unpaid taxes. I shit you not. It's just the least surprising bit of information I've gotten in this chat. No AI used, by the way. Yeah, no, he did say that. Like, that is real. He did say that. News about Donald Trump just broke. Alex Jones, Mao Zedong edit. Those are the two edits that live in my mind. I mean, this is not even an edit, honestly. literally deja vu. What is this? This is live, but that doesn't mean Dark Brandon is there yet. He is notoriously late. Unlike me, I served the top of the hour ad break exactly. Wow, back when. Look at that. Totally separate time. Back when I used to run ads. Now the Piker Broadcasting Service is ad-free. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. No more ad breaks at the top of the hour. No more ad breaks at all. It is completely ad-free, with the rare exception of a sponsored gaming broadcast. The Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored. It's September. If you guys would like to subscribe and support the show, you can for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime. Twitch Prime is free. All right, when is this starting? 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 Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Get in, get in, get in, get in. Exactly on time. Okay. Right on time, right on cue at the top of the hour. There's a 3-minute ad break. If you want this uninterrupted Biden special, okay, then all you need to do is subscribe for $6 or for free with the Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, where you get 1 free Prime subscription a month. You can use it on your favorite broadcaster. Hopefully that's me. He was almost an hour late to his 3-minute speech this morning. Yeah, he's never on time. He's so gross. Like, he is so notoriously late all the. This was me talking about Brandon. Time, dude. It's crazy. Amira Links, thank you for the 10 community gifted subs. Oh,
my fellow Americans.
Oh, he is on time. 3-minute ad break now. Twitch Primes are free. My first time in the chat, but I watch you on YouTube. I was wondering if you've heard about the AI 2027 article. I watched the video and I'm curious about your opinions on the geopolitical implications. No, I have not watched that video. Will you watch the 10 p.m. China Victory Day parade? Is it at 10 p.m. Pacific? If so, no. The answer is no. I won't be live at that point. That's crazy. I don't know why. I don't know why he's 30 minutes late. In 6 minutes. In 6 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, 6 minutes. And Donald Trump is going to be live. And he's going to be talking about the shittiest, most irrelevant thing, by the way, which is even funnier. Because, like, this is billed as his announcement for Space Command moving from Colorado to Alabama, but obviously that's not the reason why people are excited. People are excited because they want to see exactly how sick this puppy is, okay? He actually just died. Oh, my God, imagine. He just got so excited. I mean, my favorite conspiracy theory on this is the claim that he got reverse John Fetterman. Like he stroked into woke. Okay. You know how like John Fetterman stroked into anti-woke and became like the #1 defender of Israel? I feel like the stroke just like reverses people's brain a little bit. And Donald Trump got stroked into woke. And now people are, now all of the people around him are panicking because they're like, he just keeps saying, we're going to end Israel over and over again. He keeps saying he wants to seize the means of production. It's actually very odd that they shut down Pennsylvania Avenue in front of the White House. That's not normal. Can see it in the AP feed. Street is only clear with Secret Service vehicle in it. Is that normal? Is that abnormal? I feel like they do that shit all the time. It's DC. People were talking about how abnormal it is that like around Walter Reed is actually blocked off or something. And it feels like this is just a normal part of it's just a normal part of the process, right? Like that's just how it is. They just do that sometimes. They be doing that sometimes. Am I wrong? I hear on the streets that he's planning on introducing the Order of Lenin medal. Yeah. Yeah, we got memes for days though. Trump's team today.
Guys, he says he still needs to make his speech. What do you think?
Can he do the speech?
Can he do the speech? The demented, piss mad king of England?
He could say anything. He could tell everyone it's Barbara Streisand. No, I think we have to drop it, right?
Okay. But at the very least, he should be on stage.
It would be great to get the body up there.
Okay, we push it as late as we can, and maybe if we just get him on stage, that'll be enough.
Stroke the woke, please. Oh my God, that'd be so sick. Because he does have an incredible command over the American economy and has a tendency to just like bully corporations into doing his bidding in a way that I wish the Democrats would do. And I am going to kind of talk about that a little bit today. the White House right now. Yeah, they're just trying to hastily put him back together. You know, it's going to work. But I will say, like, even the Intel stuff, like 10% of Intel, like these are things that Bernie Sanders advocated for during the CHIPS Act, right? Like this is something that the American left, a modest social democratic proposal has been advanced by the American left, the left flank of the Democrat Party, for a long time. And Trump is the one who just got it done. No questions asked. He just straight up went to Intel and was like, you're giving us 10%. All this grant money that we're offering you is it amounts to 10% of Intel. It's ours now. And the reality of the matter is stuff like that is not socialism necessarily, but it is actually a higher degree of socialization. And it's one that honestly the Democrats and the Republicans would pounce on if it was actually any Democrat doing this. If it was Joe Biden doing this, they'd be calling for his assassination. But when Donald Trump does it, it's fine because Donald Trump just does things, right? And this is why I constantly go back and forth on obviously being incredibly angry at the horrible things that Trump has brought to this country, while also simultaneously feeling incredibly jealous because, like, he gets to do this shit that I wish, you know, a competent left leadership would be able to do. He gets to move and shake things, oftentimes in the direction of not an overall common good, but usually in the direction of just making things worse. But of course, in that process, you got people like gruesome Governor Gavin Newsom. We got a minute out. We're a minute out from the Oval. We're a minute out. Wait, they pushed it back again? Or is it live? Hold on. Watch this. I'm going into the future. I'm going into the future. Okay. It's not, it's just, okay, Psycho Mantis, chill. No. Can you take us through what the first 100 days of a JD Vance presidency would look like? It's just death, destruction. Did you see them throwing black bags out of the White House window? I heard about that yesterday, but I don't know what the fuck that was about. Yeah, I know this is what he's going to talk about, okay? Stop being a Debbie Downer. I know, Farah, this is what he will talk about, not that he's dying. Of course, he's not going to go out and make an announcement and be like, I'm dying. Like, that's a joke. But yes, of course, he is. This announcement, as the Associated Press's live stream also has declared, this announcement is about Space Command moving from Colorado to Alabama. Having said that, however, the reason why a lot of people want to see Donald Trump after 7 days of media blackout is because they think he is dying, and this is a way for people to figure out whether he's actually dying or not. That's it. It's that simple. Updates. Trump expected to make an announcement on moving Space Command. The latest on the tariffs. Trump is likely to be asked about last week's U.S. Appeals Court ruling that found most of his tariffs to be illegal. The court allowed tariffs to remain in place. And also on top of that, his military conquest, his domestic application of military as a domestic policing force was also found to be illegal, specifically in California. So there's that too. So there's a bunch of stuff that he's like pissed off about. Postponed again. Stop. CNN diving into the conspiracy? Yeah, I don't have an article. Do we have a paywall remover on this? Let me see if I can zap it. I guess. Is black. Oh, God. How Trump's health conspiracy theories went wild on social media. I mean, it's fine. It's not postponed again. I mean, it's not live. We're 2 minutes in, and it's not live. So, I don't know. It's pack watch time, but one more zap, and it'll be good. Oh, Brian Stelter wrote about it. President Donald Trump's political success derived in part by being omnipresent on every screen, so his recent absence from public view provoked all kinds of speculation. Trump dead became a trending topic over the long Labor Day weekend, fueled perhaps by liberal wishful thinking and online influencer boredom. I saw a tweet that was so funny where someone said, oh, now I understand why all the Republicans were fantasizing about Biden dying, because this shit's a lot of fun. And yeah, it is. Okay? It is. Except for me, we did that for both. We did that for Brandon and we did that for Trump. We like to have fun all the time, okay? Come to the right side. Come to the good side. It's just, trust me, it was fun with Brandon too. Old ass holding on, doing the old person death grip on the levers of power long after he should have stopped doing that a long time ago. Okay? The viral storm was best summarized through the post of one self-proclaimed psychic with more than 125,000 followers on TikTok. Trump is actually going to die on the 28th of August, she predicted in one video last week before plugging a beauty product. Photos showed Trump leaving the White House to visit one of his golf courses on August 30th, but didn't dissuade the psychic. In between other profit-making product promotions, she insisted she was right and questioned the validity of the photos. She was far from the only one. Searching for Trump's name on TikTok resulted in related searches, is Trump dead or no? Yeah, get your money up, Queen. And Trump health symptoms. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is we got a lot of new friends in the chat, so I'll repeat this, but this is something that every Turkish person, every Russian person, like every person who lives under like the oppressive thumb of any kind of dictatorial or any kind of like authoritarian rulership, this is a feeling that people know very well. This is a feeling that I experienced my whole life growing up, where you're like, I hope there is some kind of divine intervention here. It never happens, okay? That's all I'm going to say. Evil never dies. Evil never dies. It never actually ends up happening. And all of your wishes, all of your dreams inevitably give these guys more life, I feel like. I mean, look at Dick Cheney. He's still alive and kicking, you know? Bolsonaro got COVID 58 times, okay? Bolsonaro got stabbed. Bolsonaro was doing caca out of his nose. They were sucking the poop directly out of his nose. That's how fucked up this man is, okay? He is a one-man poison. He is just like, he is a biohazard to be around. Still not dead, okay? That's it. These guys just never die. Evil never dies, okay? Your hatred fuels their lives, their lifeblood. So it is kind of funny though that like Americans have finally arrived at that method as well. The notion of like, man, it's just a maybe someone will kick the bucket, and it's just, you know, it's funny to experience it in both Turkey and now in America as well. Never thought I'd see that day. Okay, and yeah, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. It's an indication that we are unstable. I will say that much. Because, like, it's like this many people being able to actively point to, you know, someone's got to do it, and then have everybody understand exactly what that means is perhaps the greatest indication of how busted our structure is, how busted our system is, that people are like demanding divine intervention. You know, that's what I think. Hold on. I honestly need emotional support from this community for whatever the announcement is. Some people think it's a war announcement. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows? He could just come out and be like, that's right, we're going to war with Venezuela, and Greenland is ours. We're going to war, not with Venezuela, but with Greenland. You know? At this point, is that too far-fetched? Like, honestly, anything is possible with Donald Trump. But yeah, with so many conspiracy theories, this one started with some crumbs of truth, including visible bruises on Trump's hand. More and more questions are being raised about Donald Trump's health. Democratic content creator Harry Sisson said in a video last week, zooming in on Trump's hand from different angles. Then, as CNN's Betsy Klein reported, Trump's public schedule went uncharacteristically dark last Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Some Trump opponents turned into investigators, posting unflattering photos of the president, highlighting his recent comments about wanting to get to heaven if possible, while advancing a theory that he was secretly sick. What happened next is oh my God. What happened next, it was a snowball effect. Sorry, I just got a text message from my travel agent guy who said that they found my rings at the hotel I stayed at a long time ago in New York. and I've been looking for them. It's so irrelevant to everything else. I know I can't be saying, oh my God, in front of 60,000 people like that while we're waiting for Donald Trump to be potentially found alive in the White House. I know. I'm sorry. I got excited for something good to happen in my life for once. Okay. No, it's not a scoop. I'm not farming. Shit. Abi bizi siktin 10 saniye. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Anyway. C-SPAN pushed it back to 3 p.m. now? Wait, what? They pushed it back again? Okay, he might be dead, bro. What the is going on? Okay, that's crazy. Oh, my Lord. Not enough makeup on the body? How often does he delay his speeches like this? Often. He's always late to shit. That's normal, but usually they just know how late he's going to be, so they don't give you like an active time, or they don't just like push it back 15 minutes at a time in 15-minute increments like this. That part is a little unique. That's a little weird, I think. Okay. Anyway, some Trump opponents turned to investigators. The fervor consumed X, TikTok, and other social media over the weekend, but the online energy was especially intense on Blue Sky. Many anti-Trump users who were repelled by Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter, now X, gravitated to Blue Sky as an alternative. And the site's algorithm surfaced posts from users fantasized about Trump passing away. The "Is Trump dead?" chatter felt all-consuming on Friday night, with people sharing jokes and memes of people dancing on a grave that didn't actually exist. David Dayen, friend of the show, David Dayen, executive editor of the American Prospect, referred to Trump's plan for a ballroom to be built at the White House and said, "The ballroom, it's a mausoleum." Popular liberal influencer known as JoJo from Jers observed the torn post and wrote, "Live your life in such a way that half the internet doesn't start planning block parties when they think you're dead." The incentives were clear. Memes and jokes at Trump's expense were rewarded with clicks, shares, and replies, in much the same way that MAGA media figures are incentivized to celebrate every move Trump makes. By Saturday, when Trump was seen by reporters and photographers, Democratic politicians started to dabble in the health speculation, knowing that it would garner attention. When Trump insulted Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker in a Truth Social post, Pritzker shot back on social media, saying, "Why don't you send everyone proof of life first?" Conservatives on X criticized Pritzker for doing so, citing the assassination attempts against Trump in 2024. Oh, God, conservatives are so annoying. They're such smarmy little crybabies, bro. They are the biggest crybabies on the planet, and I can't stand these. Okay? I cannot stand conservatives. They are so goddamn soy. They literally openly fantasize about killing not only like Joe Brandon, kidnapping Joe Brandon. Some of them actively actually engage in the process of trying to kidnap or assassinate politicians, like that one conservative, David DePipe, that tried to kill Nancy Pelosi and then ended up hammering Paul Pelosi in the head. Like, they do all this shit. They do January 6th. They do all of this stuff. And then the moment that a liberal goes, "Hey, man, I really don't like the president, and if he's dead, then, like, that's a cause for celebration," they go, "Whoa! Whoa, whoa, whoa! How dare you? Sir, excuse me. That's an old man that's a grandfather. That's a grandfather with grandchildren. Oh God, typical so-called liberal woke leftists once again. So much for the tolerant left once again. It's like, dude, shut the up. I see what you're posting yesterday. I see what you're posting today. Half of your policies revolve around like making up made up enemies in your mind and then somehow looping it back to killing Guatemalan migrants. And you're over here complaining that people are celebrating. Shut the up. Shut up. Jesus Christ. The official White House channel live stream is up. That means no more delays. Okay. I just don't understand like how these guys can behave. How these guys can behave like this. It's just so annoying. It's just so goddamn annoying. Anyway, over the weekend, as online sleuths scoured photos of Trump for evidence of any frailty, the political scientist Ian Bremmer pointed out that obsessive scrutiny of a leader's health is a hallmark of authoritarian countries. I mean, it's true. That part is true, by the way. It's is just something that I have experienced, and I never thought that I would experience it here in the United States of America. Like when I was growing up, this was the meta, and it still is in Turkey. It's just so funny that now I'm 2 for 2, man. I'm 2 for 2, man. Grew up in Turkey, saw this shit with my own 2 eyes. Now I'm experiencing it again. It's crazy. It's just going to be a massive letdown when people realize that he's not dead, though, or even like remotely sick. People will still probably lean in heavily on the conspiratorial side. I've seen like Blue Anon go crazy over it. Okay. It's all your fault, dude. You need to move to Russia next. What do you mean? Russia is already there. What are we talking about? Russia is already there. Is it 2 Central Time? I think it's supposed to start now. Yeah, people are going to be fantasizing about like a body double type situation. I can see that. I can see that being like an angle here. I mean, I am noticing that this happened suspiciously close. Trump's sickness is suspiciously close to his close and personal limousine ride with a notorious poisoner, Vladimir Putin. It did happen like basically, like 2 weeks ago? A little bit of Novacek, who knows? A little bit of fell out of the natural cause of death, fell out of the window. Fell out of the third story window type shit, you know? That's me. That's my Blue Anon. Blue Anabi. That's my Blue Anon conspiracy, okay? That's the one I'm going with. Agent Krasnov. Agent Krasnov has been terminated. His contract has been terminated. How? By putting, as some chatter said, putting Poison Ivy style lipstick on and then kissing him directly in the mouth in the limo. That's what he did. He put polonium on his lipstick and gave him the kiss of death. Natural defenestration. Yeah, sometimes when your contract is up, when you're a contracted hitter and your contract is up, they burn you, you know? They don't want you to be out there as a liability, revealing information about like your allegiances to KGB, to FSB. Also, there is a Gamba. Will we have a new vice president today?
Thank you very much. It's a very important day and an important announcement with great friends of mine. I think I can say
he looks so healthy.
This group is every one of them. I rate a 10. I can't always say that, even if they're Republicans, and these are Republicans, great Republicans. I want to thank you all for being here for this important announcement, 7 years in the making. As you know, this has been going on for a long period of time, and I am thrilled to report that the U.S. Space Command headquarters will move to the beautiful locale of a place called Huntsville, Alabama, forever to be known from this point forward as Rocket City. Okay, so Huntsville, Alabama. We love Alabama.
Live forever.
I only won it by about 47 points.
He's gonna live forever.
I don't think that influenced my decision, though, right? That didn't, right? But we had a lot of competition for this, and Alabama's getting it. Huntsville in particular. So congratulations, everybody. Katie, congratulations. This will result in more than 30,000 Alabama jobs and probably much more than that, and hundreds of millions of dollars of investment, and that's billions because it can't be millions, it's billions and billions of dollars. Most importantly, this decision will help America defend and dominate the high frontier, as they call it. I want to thank Secretary Pete Hegseth. He's doing a fantastic job. And Secretary of the Air Force, Troy,
I hate modern medicine. This
sucks. Great job you're doing, Troy.
It does.
This is such a big deal. This
sucks.
is one that everybody wanted to know. What are you doing? I also want to thank Senators Katie Britt, and I want to give my condolences. Your grandmother, her grandmother just passed away. She was 100, right?
100, and she loved you, Mr. President.
Well, and she was very proud of you.
Thank you very much.
Very, very proud of you. So thank you, Katie.
What are the chatters saying? She's not doing
Must
a
have been
fantastic
to produce
job.
you indirectly.
Yes, he's
I can tell you she had to be. Tommy Tuberville, who's a great coach, and I won't say anything about what happened with Alabama football this weekend.
Let's leave that out.
But you're not used to that, right? You're not used to that. But Tommy, Auburn won, is right. They did. So you're happy. Tommy's been a great senator, as you know, and fantastic guy all around.
Everyone is on cope mode. They're like, oh, this must be pre-recorded. Oh, this must be. He's reading. He's sticking to the script. That's unique. No, man, this is just
great, Mike. Representatives Barry Morrow.
nothing happened to this. Is crazy.
Gary
Evil
Palmer
never
and
dies,
Dale
bro.
Strong. Thank you all very much, fellas. Appreciate it.
Let's see if
In my
it takes
first
some questions,
term,
though.
We created, and I created, a thing called Space Force. So important. You know, we were losing.
My week is
the race in
ruined.
space very badly to China and to Russia. And now we're far and away #1 in space, and reestablished Space Com with a mission to protect American space assets and detect any threat to our homeland. We initially selected Huntsville for the Spacecom headquarters, yet those plans were wrongfully obstructed by the Biden administration.
That's right.
And as you know, they moved them to a different locale. And today we're moving forward with what we want to do and the place that we want to have this. And this will be there for hopefully hundreds of years. That's where it's going to be. I will say I want to thank Colorado. The problem I have with Colorado, one of the big problems, they do mail-in voting. They went to all mail-in voting. So they have automatically crooked elections. And we can't have that. When a state is for mail-in voting, that means they want dishonest elections, because that's what that means.
You do mail-in voting. You do mail-in voting. You have always voted by mail.
Com will play a key role in building the Golden Dome, as you know. That's going to be a big thing. Everybody wants to be a participant in it. Missile defense shield. We're going to be having a Golden Dome that the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. The finest, the best. And by the way, Canada called. They want to be a part of it, and that'll be great. But Canada wants very much to be included in that, and we're going to work something out with them, I hope. It will also ensure that our technological capabilities, of which we're way ahead of anybody else, there's nobody close, remain unmatched long into the future. So I'd like to ask Secretary Hegseth to say a few words. He was very much a part of it. And really, everybody behind me was. Every one of these people would call me and lobby me. I said, Katie, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I know what you want. She said, that's right, sir. That's what I want. And they got their way. So I just want to congratulate. These are really special people. They're politicians in many ways, but they're great patriots, I think even more so than politicians. So they fought very hard to get it, and it's an honor to give it to Huntsville. Pete, say a few words, please.
Who cares?
Thank you, Mr. President. As usual, right place, right time, for the right reason. In your first administration, you established the Space Force at a time when we knew we had to be looking to that domain of space. You also reestablished Spacecom to ensure that priority was put in place, and you, through the Air Force, independently identified that Huntsville, Alabama was the right place to put it. For other reasons, in the
I'm gonna be
next
honest.
administration under
If
Biden,
there was
they decided
such
to
a
move it somewhere
thing,
else.
if
Well,
there was such a
during
thing of
that
like
time,
being able to wish ill upon someone and like curse them, I think Trump would just get lasered on this podium right now, because there is maximum amount of attention and eyeballs, maximum amount of prayers and thoughts in the opposite direction right now, tuning in from perhaps all around the world and certainly in the United States of America. So it is yet another clear-cut indication that one, evil never dies, and two, the power of manifestation does not work. Okay.
Will control the future of warfare.
Not to
today, you're ensuring that happens.
yuck anybody's yum here, but I mean, look at him.
Mr. President, we are grateful for your leadership on this and restoring
tell if
Space
his
Command
hand is,
to
like,
its
busted
rightful
or not.
home in
I'm
Huntsville,
trying to see.
Alabama.
I'm trying to get a
This
peek.
delegation has worked together, both chambers, both parties, to make sure that Huntsville
It kinda
was
looks
the
a
place that
little
Space
bit
Command called home.
powdery.
As was mentioned, obviously the Biden administration chose to make
He
this
has
political.
makeup on his hand
What we want
again.
to do is put the safety and security of Americans first. We want to make sure that our war fighter is put first, and we want to make sure that America continues to lead. And today, Mr. President, you've allowed that to happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our war fighters.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. This is a
Oh,
great
God,
day
this is
for
one of
our
the
country,
dumbest
not just
motherfuckers
for
in
the state of
Congress.
Alabama. We need help in our military. We need to catch up. And as Secretary has said, we're not behind in space, but we know where we're at, and we need to expound on that. Now, this move will save the taxpayers $480 million. It's not going to cost more. It's going to cut $480 million.
Look. Oh my God, that shit looks busted,
It'll
bro.
be behind a secure wall
Look
in
at
Huntsville,
that.
Alabama, at Redstone Arsenal. We have 40,000 people there. We have the FBI there. We have missile defense there. We have NASA, Blue Origin, and SpaceX. It is the perfect place for Space Command. I would tell you today, and I've spoke with the president for the last 3 or 4
Look at
years
that.
about this. If I thought it needed to go somewhere else because I understand the security of our country, I'd be for that. But the best place for Space Command is Huntsville, Alabama, because what we have and what it means to this country is going to be so important. So thank you, Mr. President, for this, and we look forward to building a huge Space Command and having the
Yeah, he got hella makeup
J. Trump
on
Space Command
on
Center
this
in
one.
Huntsville, Alabama. Yeah.
JD, would you like to say something?
Sure.
Fake rubber
Mr.
hand. You got it
President, thank you. I'll be very
amputated.
brief here. I lobbied the president hard to put it in Ohio, but he said these people behind us, these Alabamas, are just too powerful and too persuasive. And so it's in Alabama, but as Tommy said, this is exactly the right place for Space Force and Space Command. I think Americans ought to appreciate it and ought to appreciate the fact that you can't win the battle of the future unless you control the skies. The cyber security, the communications, the entire infrastructure of the battle in the 21st century will be in space. So it was a visionary move in the first administration for the president to set up Space Force, and I think an equally visionary move to make sure the Space Force is right where it should be in Huntsville, Alabama.
He
Thank
looks
you, sir.
just the same.
Gentlemen, anybody want to say anything? Would you like to say?
Mr. President, another promise made, another promise kept. You think about it, Redstone Arsenal is critical to national security. The president said when you were the 45th president, let's do what's right for national security. And today, that's exactly what we're doing. It's not because of this or that. It's because it's right for national security. You think of the 21 categories that were evaluated to determine what was best for national security. All indicators pointed back to Huntsville, Alabama, and Redstone Arsenal. We have the right people at the right place at the right time. Mr. President, on behalf of the people of the 5th Congressional District and all of Alabama, thank you for keeping your word.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Anybody?
Let me just say, Mr. President, I want to say thank you. And thank you for doing this because it was the right thing to do. When they looked at all the numbers, Huntsville was the place to go, and like you say, it was unfortunately pulled out, but you made it right. So I want to just say thank you again for a grateful nation, and to the state of Alabama, we're very grateful. Thank you, and God bless. Thank you.
Now we got
Thank
the
you, Mr.
glaze
President.
sesh.
Throughout history, militaries has always understood that whoever could hold the high ground held the advantage. Space is the ultimate high ground. And what we're doing with moving the Space Command to
Space is the ultimate high ground. It's very far up there.
In that sphere. And it goes hand in hand with what we're trying to do with the Golden Dome and missile defense to defend against anyone else who tries to enter that sphere. So thanks, Mr. President.
Yeah, everyone is on board with the same meta. Look,
thank you, Mr. President.
You can still see that there's major discoloration on Trump's right hand. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of coping a little bit.
Was number one, and for political reasons, it was moved out of our state. But, Mr. President, thank you for making priorities the defense and the warfighter and the safety of this nation. And in the big, beautiful bill, that Golden Dome will be built in Huntsville, Alabama, and we're grateful for that. Thank you.
Listen, as chairman of the Armed Services Committee, I care very much about what's most important.
Bro, that is the craziest hairpiece I've ever done seen in my life,
President,
dude.
held a nationwide competition to determine where we should have this command.
Like, you ain't fooling nobody.
Y'all remember at the end of that competition,
This
where
right
Alabama
here,
came
this
in
right
first,
here is a
there was lot of
typical
complaints
Southern
that
dandy
other
lad
states
who's
did not
like,
place well.
there.
He said, we'll
I don't
do
know
it
what his
all
name is,
with
but
these
I
criteria to
assume,
accommodate your
I
concerns.
assume this
Alabama
this is the
came in
classic
first
like
in that second
Southern dandy who has a woman's name and might actually be, you know, in the closet.
It was
Many
the
such
Biden
cases.
administration that decided to make it political.
Many such
Even
cases.
though
This is
his
a
own
staple.
Secretary
This is
of
a
the Air
Southern
Force
staple
said
right
it was a
here.
fair competition, and it should be in Huntsville. So I want you to know I appreciate this president standing up and being strong and saying he's going to make this right and put it where it right.
Yeah, name like Peyton, Ashley, Lindsay.
So thank you all very much. You are going to leave me alone now. You're not going to call me anymore and talk about this subject, right? You promise? They'll start something else. But I just want to congratulate you. It's a very big deal. When you come out and when you leave the room, you'll see that we just, over the last few minutes, literally shot out a boat, a drug-carrying boat, a lot of drugs in that boat. And you'll be seeing that and you'll be reading about that. It just happened moments ago, and our great general, head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who's been so incredible, including what took place in Iran, knocking out potential nuclear power for a long time to come. I think within a month they would have had it if we didn't do what we did. But he gave us a little bit
All
of
this
a
talk about Huntsville,
briefing.
Alabama. Meanwhile, what aerospace
and
engineers
you'll
going to move
see,
to
and there's
Alabama?
more where that
Many
came
will.
from.
It's a low-cost site.
We have a lot
That's
of
the
drugs
reason why
pouring into
Boeing
our
is a
country,
facility in
coming
Oklahoma
for a
and
long
shit.
time.
No,
And
Alabama
we just,
already is a big.
this
I'm
came
pretty
out of
sure Alabama
Venezuela.
already has like a bunch of
Coming
facilities
out
there
very heavily
anyway.
from Venezuela. A lot of things are coming out of Venezuela. So we took it out, and you'll get to see that after this.
It's
after
also
this
good for the
meeting is over.
colleges as
Do you have
well,
any
because
questions,
then
please?
it beefs up their engineering programs.
Senator Tuberville talked about the cost savings associated with his announcement.
Oh, he took out a boat in Venezuela, he
The
said.
strategic benefits by having Space Force Command headquartered in Huntsville.
Oh my God, he's going to
Well, it
Gulf
just
of,
works because we
he's
have
going to
so
Gulf
much
of Tonkin
else
it.
there.
He's going to Gulf of
And
Tonkin
having a
Venezuela.
Central, you could call it a central command, but it really is a command station. Also, even locationally, where it is, and when you think about flying distances, if you can save a half an hour as fast as some of these planes go and things go, and even the rockets go, if you can save by having the best location. So we went out, as you know, to experts, and we had 4 different groups of experts. They all said this was the best location. I also loved it from the standpoint, I know the people of Alabama, they are great people, work hard, and there's no games, and they're very proud of it. And I would say they fought harder for it than anybody else also. A lot of states, 5 states really wanted it, but they wanted it more. And I kid you not when I say that these people, they spoke to me a lot. That's all they wanted to talk about. They didn't want to talk about the weather. They only wanted to talk about moving to this location, moving to Alabama, Huntsville in particular. So we're honored to do it. They really wanted it badly, and they got it. Peter?
President Trump, something completely different, but about a big viral social media trend over the weekend. How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? You see that?
No.
He doesn't like that. He did not like that question.
User engagements as of Saturday morning about your demise.
Oh, he does not like that. Don't tell Trump
You know,
that people
I
hate
have
him.
heard it's sort of crazy, but last week I did numerous news conferences, all successful. They went very well, like this is going very well. And then I didn't do any for 2 days, and they said, there must be something wrong with him. Biden wouldn't do them for months. You wouldn't see him. And nobody ever said there was ever anything wrong with him, and we know he wasn't in the greatest of shape. No, I heard that. I get reports.
He hates
now,
that
you knew I
shit.
did an interview
It
that
reminds
lasted
me of
for
when he
about
saw
an hour
the-
and a half with somebody, and
The
everybody saw that
Cybertruck,
was on
the Cybertruck
one of your
that Aiden Ross tried to
competitors.
give him.
I did numerous shows and also did a number of truths, long truths, and I think pretty poignant truths. No, I was very active over the weekend. They also knew I went out to visit some people at the club that I own, pretty nearby on the Potomac River. And no, I've been very active actually over the weekend.
Of course
I
he
didn't
heard
hear
about
that
it.
one.
He
That's
was
pretty
lying when he said I
serious
didn't
stuff.
hear about it, but I heard about
Well,
it.
it's fake news. You know, it's just so, it's so fake. That's why the media has so little credibility. I knew they were saying like, is he okay? How's he feeling? What's wrong? I said, I just left. And it's also sort of a longer weekend, you know, it's Labor Day weekend. So I would say a lot of people know I was very active this Labor Day.
Oh, yeah, extra
I had heard
active.
that,
Okay,
but I
he was
didn't hear
dead.
to
He was
that
dead.
extent. Go
They
ahead,
brought him
Peter.
back alive.
We know that this country has a huge problem with school shootings. You've said that you're open to sending the National Guard pretty much anywhere. Would you ever consider sending an armed National Guardsman to every school?
What?
Well, we have a big problem with school shooting, but we also have thousands and thousands of schools that run perfectly. You know, they talk about you can do things construction-wise, and that's really, I think nobody knows more about construction than me.
Mr.
You can
President,
build the
would you
construction
send
doors. You
the
can build
National
what
Guard
they
to
call
every
safety
school?
doors,
That's
where they lock
what
on
is
the
happening?
outside, the inside, and every place else. Well, but if one of these
This country
lunatics
is so
happens to
damn
get
insane, bro.
through, then the police can't get in. Then they're looking for keys all over the place, and it takes a lot of disadvantages to doing, spending billions and billions of dollars and actually making it safer in some way for some of these lunatics that we're dealing with. But I don't think so. I've thrown out the concept. We have great teachers that love our children. The parents love the children. Teachers love the children too. And if you took a small percentage of those teachers that were in the military,
bro, this isn't even Access
that were
Journalism, Chatter. This is
distinguished in
something
the
different. This is
military,
like
that were in the
propaganda
National
for dear
Guard, et cetera,
leadership.
et cetera.
Okay, this is
And,
different. This is like
you let
Modi
them
used to do
carry.
this, or still does
That's
this.
something that a lot of people like. I sort of liked it. I'd have to be studied, but they're trained. They've